New role for me. Well done. And now I'd like to call to order the formal city council meeting for April 19th, 2017. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman DeCiccio. Councilwoman Gallego.
Here.
Councilman Nowakowski. Councilwoman Stark. Here. Councilman Valenzuela. Councilman Waring. Councilwoman Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Pastor.
Here.
Mayor Stanton.
I would like to introduce the interpreter, Maria Garcia. If you need any headsets, to please come see Maria. Thank you. Citizen comments. Now what do I do, Chris? Over here? Okay. Por favor, si puedes.
Mi nombre es María Elena García. Yo soy intérprete del idioma español. Si usted necesita servicios de interpretación durante esta sesión, por favor, comuníquese conmigo o con la secretaria municipal. Gracias.
Gracias, Maria. Leonard Clark. Leonard, you have 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Leonard Clark, born right here in the city of Phoenix, right down the street at Good Samaritan Hospital. Love our city. I'm just here to sound a note of alarm. Many people are busy working, paying their bills, and don't know that the initiative process at the state legislature has now been practically killed off for normal citizens such as myself who are not wealthy or a big corporation. And the reason I bring it up and think that it's apropos for the city of Phoenix is that we are the largest city in the state of Arizona, and what the state legislature does about 3 minutes down the street greatly affects us. I'm just hoping that you will express your great concern to Governor Ducey after he signed a bill which is effectively HB 2404 and another bill put through so that essentially you have to be very wealthy to get an initiative on the ballot. Normal citizens, as our founders over 100 years ago in 1912 in Arizona, who made sure, because of the horrible reputation of corrupt territorial governors, wanted a way for the citizens to go get initiatives and to be able to put something onto the ballot so we could vote on that. Well, I'm here to tell you that now that is practically nil, that is practically dead. The governor just signed those 2 bills, waiting to sign more. I also ask you to ask the governor, because as that I've heard, he hasn't signed another bill that could affect many of our citizens in the city of Phoenix, and that is a weakening of the American with Disabilities Act. The governor is getting ready to what looks like sign a bill that's just been passed on what we call a striker, had nothing to do with the bill that originally was in the legislature, but now people who want to go ahead, unlike all the other people who are in minority classes, will have to give notifications to these corporations that they are in violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So I needed you to do that. I'm greatly concerned. I know you'll be speaking on Trump later, and I would like to be able to speak on that, but I just want everybody to know that I'm not sure how that's going to affect us. So if we are citizens and we want to get an initiative passed in the city of Phoenix, which we can do on the city level, and a recall, by the way, last year they passed a bill that made it almost impossible, no offense against you, I don't mean you politicians, but at the state legislature, that it's almost impossible to recall them now. Our founders, our progressive founders, the ranchers, the people who lived in the city of Phoenix over 100 years ago would be spinning in their graves if they could see what is going on now. All the tradition that has been undone, 100 years of tradition that greatly affects the citizens of Phoenix over 100 years has been basically just killed off in this one legislative session. I need you to call the governor. I'm concerned for my fellow citizens who are disabled, who now have had their rights weakened under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Governor Ducey, if you can hear this, please don't sign that bill, since you've already killed off the initiative process. We are now officially an autocracy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Barker is next. Diane Barker.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Diane Barker. I'm in District 7. And I always say, what do we do on Mondays? We get out. Well, we have an opportunity for you to walk. You don't have to run Monday. Downtown Phoenix, we've got 3 projects. We have landscape architects taking us on a tour, so come on out. It's free, 5:15 a beautiful new restaurant called The Park downtown, and we'll do it. And today was Bike to Work Day, and maybe some people did it. I did it. I know some of our politicians, Vice Mayor Pastor was there. And, you know, that's great, but we need to also remember to make a commitment into the Clean Air Act. The city has made a commitment, and one of those is don't drive 1 and 5. So we want to see where people can be ahead of the curve in doing what we can do for our community and cut down on emissions. Now, you know, I had a girlfriend that once told me, you know, she said, Diane, she says, when I was a kid, I always wanted to run away and join the circus. Only as an adult, I found out that I was the circus. This woman and her son went to law school. They worked. She sold government contracts and told me they were a good pay. That was back a while ago. She sold Xerox and put herself through law school. But some people may think, you know, you use transit, why would you want to not support the projects? Because I think there's a better plan. I think that Maricopa Association of Governments, it's all the community that we're into. We have the biggest populace and we make the most emissions, we have the most accidents, that what we do in this community affects all the other communities. Matter of fact, it's going to affect what is to be slated one of the biggest regional economic spheres in the whole world in the coming years, which is the Sun Corridor. So I want to hand this in to you. I was told, and this was a budget for 2012 in transit. I should have been, when I made a public records request recently, been given a transit budget, but I was said that we would at the city have $60 million by spring or summer from Valley Metro. What we did was, and it's not operational money, and I'm giving this to you, the city council here gave $60 million of Transit 2000 money. This is before the vote. They voted in June of 2012. Well, they didn't come here for a vote. They went ahead and just had the election. And I'm saying if you don't do things right, it's going to end up to bite you. The thing about it, whereas today we're going to give $50 million away, and then we're expecting to get $60 million where? I don't see it on Valley Metro. You show me where it is.
Thank you very much, Ms. Barker. Next speaker will be Ms. Jenna Wilson.
I think most of us can agree that stealing from the elderly or people in general is wrong. What if I told you a privately owned Hollywood movie production company has stolen over $800 billion from our grandparents' and parents' blood, sweat, and retirement funds? What if I told you that it is possible to save the 30,000 children that die every day from preventable illnesses by taking only 10% of the daily budget from this company? They are also responsible for bringing religion into our public schools, teaching theories as fact with no verifiable proof of their claims. This corporation has actually given us the evidence of their deceit through their own website. You can check for yourself if you have Photoshop. Under the Apollo 17 mission, photos of Earth from the moon, boxes appear around the Earth and the lunar module, or as some refer to it as a homeless tweaker's shelter. Many of NASA's photos have been debunked the same way people debunk fake UFO pictures. One only needs to Google bubbles in space to see the live feeds and movies showing us bubbles they were too lazy to edit out from inside their massive water tanks. This is not to say everyone working for NASA is in on the Ponzi. This conglomerate has been compartmentalized since its inception, and very few would be on a need-to-know basis. The second topic I would like to address is the highest number of missing children per capita in the nation being in the areas surrounding Washington, D.C. Also, the non-existent investigation into the Clinton Foundation's involvement and cover-up of the release of Laura Silsby from her kidnapping charges, which was not her first attempt of trafficking non-orphan children out of Haiti. There's a growing list of investigators, including ex-Senator Nancy Schaefer, that was murdered just after revealing information regarding corruption in the CDC and the Clinton Foundation's involvement, possibly linking them to a worldwide child trafficking network that has been getting busted in numerous other countries, like Canada, the UK, Norway, the list goes on. We need to be handling these issues we have in the real world, regardless of its shape or size, before spending billions on CGI and composite images. Thank you for letting me speak, and here's some information on my perspective if you guys want to take a look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wilson. I don't have any other cards for citizen comment at this time. So now we'll move forward with the remainder of the city council meeting. Would the city clerk please read the 24-hour paragraph?
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances numbered G307 through G309, S43397 through 43458, and resolutions number 21527 through 21532.
Thank you very much. There's no meeting minutes to approve. Is there a motion on boards and commission nomination? First, the mayor's boards and commission nominations.
Motion to approve mayor's boards and commission nomination, and motion to, second?
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Council member boards and commission nominations.
Motion to approve city council boards and commission nominations.
There is a motion. There is a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. My understanding is that there are citizens here to be sworn in, so I'll come to my right, your left, and we'll swear you in, and then afterwards, please come behind the dais so that individual members of the city council can say thank you for your service. Please raise your right hand. I, and state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of fill in the blank. According to the best of my ability. So help me God. Thank you very much. You're official. We appreciate it. Please walk behind there. All right, next on the agenda are liquor license applications. Vice Mayor, is there a proposed omnibus on the liquor license applications?
Motion to approve items 3 through 32, except item 32.
We have a motion and a second. Any cards on that item? Cards, not wishing to speak in favor. Any questions by members of the council? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Councilman Nowakowski, are you on the phone?
Yes, Mayor.
Did you want to make a motion on item 32, El Rancho Bar?
Yes, Mayor. We actually had the opportunity to meet with the officers and the owners of Ranchito Bar, and I make motion of no recommendation.
All right, so we have a motion of no recommendation and a second. Let's see, we have two cards. Jared Smart, provide testimony on this item? Oh, Officer Smart, please, yeah, thank you. So did you provide testimony on this item? No. Okay. And then how about Nancy Vasquez, the applicant. Did you provide testimony? We have to come to before the microphone. But the question is, the councilman has made a recommendation of no recommendation on this particular license. I don't know if you want to provide testimony. You don't have to if you're okay with it. Okay, great. So the motion is no recommendation. There is a second. Any comments or questions from members of this council?
Mayor?
Councilman DeCiccio, please.
Yeah, just a quick thing. It just seemed to me that a lot of the issues that were presented last meeting were more of a communication problem with the language barrier, and I'm going to be supporting Councilman Nowakowski.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other comments by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego. Yes. Noakowski.
Yes.
Stark. Yes. Valenzuela. Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yeah, so the item passes on an 8-1 vote of the city council. Next item on the agenda is ordinances, resolutions, new business, and planning and zoning. Vice Mayor, is there a motion on those items?
Motion to approve items 33 through 137.2, except the following. Items 48, 50, 58, 77, 78, 79, 80, 82, 83, 86, 90, 91, 94, 98, 116, and 137.2. Item 128 has been continued to May 10th, 2017. Items 81 and 127 have been withdrawn, and excluding these items for public comment. 48, 69, 71, 80, 91, and 94.
Councilman Waring, did you want to add an item to be pulled?
I said 116. 116.
All right, any other items that any members of this council wish to pull from the proposed omnibus motion? That is the motion. Is there a second on that motion? Any comments or questions? All right. Roll call.
DeCiccio. DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Noakowski. Stark. Yes. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, excuse me. Okay, next item on the agenda.
Mayor, I was a yes also. I'm sorry.
That was Nowakowski. Okay.
All right, thank you, Councilman Noakowski. We got that vote.
Ma-
Councilman DeCiccio did not participate. Councilman DeCiccio, are you on the phone? Okay, so that,
For some reason, I'm having a hard time hearing.
Councilman DeCiccio, the vote was on the omnibus.
And I voted yes.
Okay, so he voted yes, so that was a unanimous vote in favor. Okay, next item on the agenda,
Mayor,
Councilwoman, Vice Mayor?
can I make a motion to suspend the rules and change the order of business to now hear item 137.2?
Is there a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to hear 137.2 out of order, move it ahead in the agenda. Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? That passes unanimously. So now on the agenda is item number 137.2. 137.2 is recommendations from an ad hoc committee that was created in response to Trump's executive orders. The ad hoc committee was chaired by Vice Mayor Laura Pastor and Councilman Daniel Valenzuela. And Councilwoman Kate Gallego as well. Thank you for your leadership on serving as chairs of the ad hoc committee. So we have the decision, Vice Mayor, how you want to proceed. If you want to make comments and a motion, you want to hear from the chief or Councilman Valenzuela, I'll leave it up to you. Councilman Valenzuela, the floor is yours.
Have the chair do it.
Yeah, I'll just make a motion to approve item 137.2.
All right, so we have a motion. There's a second on that motion in favor of 137.2. Police Chief Jerry Williams is with us here today to answer any questions that may come up. We have a few cards here from members of the audience. The first one is James Garcia, neutral on that item. Did you wish to provide testimony before this council? Mr. Garcia? There he is. And then followed by Mr. Leonard Clark, and followed by Petra Falcone in favor of the proposals. That'll be the order of speakers. Anyone else wishes to speak on item 137.2? Again, voting on the recommendations of the ad hoc committee. Now would be the time to submit a card. Good to see you.
Hello, James Garcia. I'm here speaking as a private citizen and a resident of Phoenix. Just a general comment about the fact that the city has been going through what I think is a very important process on this item because of the timing, because of the national rhetoric coming out of Washington, because of Arizona's history with regards to the subject of immigration. And I think two things strike me as perhaps the most critical on this. One is that the city create a process, a mechanism, institutionalize how it deals with the immigrant population, given that that the immigrant population is about 360,000 strong here in the city of Phoenix and nearly 1 million in the state of Arizona. And it's secondly that the city council and the mayor in particular consider that you have a very specific role to play on the national stage with regards to these issues. We have seen very positive vocal comments come from the mayor of Los Angeles and Boston and others. And I think it's an important time for the city of Phoenix to step up with regards to these issues so that the immigrant population simply knows that it is not alone, that it is not unprotected, and that it is valued in this society. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony and your leadership, Mr. Garcia. Next will be Leonard Clark.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Leonard Clark, a resident of Phoenix, and I just want to thank you for at least putting this together. There was great fear. I spoke here several months ago about you could feel in the air with many of our refugee community and people who are in the minority communities. We're very nervous about because of some of the erratic statements coming from the individual that's in the chief executive office now. I'm really concerned, especially with the fact that, you know, we still have the Melendrez case, even though that's not in the direct jurisdiction of Phoenix, that's Maricopa County. We have some things taking place there whereby the Maricopa County Sheriff, Paul Penzone, is trying to get rid of the Community Advisory Board. So that's why I like it when you do this, because I want to hear more from leaders such as Salvador Ressa and other civil rights leaders to make sure that, because when people are afraid, then they don't report when they're being violated by criminals, and that in turn grows and endangers us all. The second thing I'm concerned about is the subject of the refugees, because we've, you know, in the past had these tragic shootings of people because they look different or might speak a different language. Some people take it upon themselves to take a weapon and then murder them in cold blood. And I'm sorry, but, you know, around the country there is some of that palpable hate going around. So I'm very heartened because I believe that the citizens of Phoenix coming to the meetings like this, using our social media, when we have fellow citizens who are full of anger about somebody speaking a different language or looking different in our city of Phoenix, that we can talk to them and let them understand that the fear they're having is being promulgated by people who just want to get themselves elected. So I hope that this is not just going to be like cosmetic type of thing. I really hope that we are going to lead the way, and so thank you very much. I hope that you guys do something with this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. Ms. Petra Falcone is next. We did get another card by Ms. Montoya, so you'll be the speaker after Ms. Falcone. Good to see you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. Petra Falcón, Ms. Palmas, Arizona. I'm in favor of the action that the ad hoc committee has taken and the mayor and council members in terms of really creating the space to have a conversation about these issues. We don't always agree, but what we do agree upon is that we need to address these issues. We need to talk about what's happening with immigrants in our community. We need to talk about what's happening at the national level, and we need to have an answer to that. And I call that leadership. So today we are here here as part of the We Are All America Coalition, forming coalition of 16, 17 organizations at this time that is a cross-sector of business, faith, and community-based organizations. And what we are urging the mayor and council today to take a position of maintaining this conversation long-term. The ad hoc committee was a short-term effort that was urgent, and we know that, but we need to think about an Office of Immigrant Affairs or a convening of a place where we can have a community-based conversation with the leadership of this city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Falcone, for your testimony and your great leadership in our community. Ms. Montoya?
Buenas tardes, Mayor Stanton, council members. Francisca Montoya. I'm here to speak very briefly on behalf of the children. In Maricopa County, we have over 111,000 children who are attending our schools that have at least one undocumented parent, but they are US-born citizens. And these children today, many of them in the city of Phoenix, the majority of them here, are living in fear. And they're living in fear when they go to school that perhaps when school ends, they may not have anybody to pick them up. So I think that on behalf of the children, we should think about how we as a city are going to move forward in protecting those children that are in our schools. We have a duty and a responsibility to all of the citizens and all of the residents who pay taxes here in the city. So I hope that with what some of the speakers have shared with earlier today, that that you can consider moving in this direction so that we can address this issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on item 137.2? That was the final card that I have. I'll now turn to members of the City Council. So the motion was in favor of the recommendations made by the ad hoc committee. That motion was seconded. Any comments by members of the City Council? Councilman Williams, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question for the chief. Has the City Council ever directed a chief of police how to amend or change ops orders for the police department?
So, in my memory, I'm not aware of any.
Because I've heard from several sources that that has not been done before. And that's my problem with this. I don't think it is our position to try to insert politics when we have a chief that is more than capable of knowing the needs of this community and has the not only the ability but the authority to change ops orders as she sees fit. And that is not something that needs to be approved by the City Council. And so I do not support that part of it. When it comes to school resource officers, it would be fighting words in my district if you said you weren't going to have school resource officers. They are highly valued and fought over at all times. I, like many of the others, I don't want victims to be afraid to call the police. But again, I refer to the chief. She knows what the daily operation is. She knows what it takes to gather data, and you are authorized to make those changes without this body telling you to do so. So, Mayor, I won't support the motion as is stated.
Thank you very much, Councilman Williams. Councilman Waring, please.
Thank you. Chief, it would be, so if you are the witness to a crime, you're reporting a crime, the victim or the witness does not have to turn over their ID if a police officer asks, correct?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I wish it was black and white like that. It depends on certain scenarios and situations. So the goal of that order is to make sure that our victims and witnesses feel comfortable comfortable contacting us and giving us information. There may be instances where we will require information from them during some courses of the investigation.
Okay. Can I ask then Brad Holm the same question? Because we've asked this before and gotten a different version, I would say, than that.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, Councilman?
Sure. So if you're a victim or witness of a crime, are you required to give an officer your ID?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, I agree with the chief. It's not exactly black and white, but in general, I mean, if probably for a certain percentage of the cases, generally speaking, there has to be under the statute that's in place probable cause to stop a person first, and then reasonable suspicion that they're in the country illegally before the next step can be taken.
Is this, what we're doing today, going to make us a sanctuary city?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, no, not in my opinion.
So we're sort of tinkering at the margins here and not really changing the substance of what I would argue anything really particularly solid.
Mayor, Councilman Waring, that's probably less a legal question than it is a question about policy. In the end, the chief is contemplating apparently some changes to her ops order, and in the end, those may be changes that make a difference on these issues. But of course, I haven't seen the final ops order to be able to comment.
Right. Well, I agree with Councilman Williams. I'm a little uncomfortable with where this is headed. I think we're doing this for, not me, voting against it, but I think we're doing this for political reasons rather than any kind of practical issue that was brought forth before. So I'm going to be voting no. I guess I just don't understand what was really accomplished here. This was added, I think, yesterday to the agenda, and it is a big national, international issue about which people feel very strongly. So that's a little surprising, but I'm willing to vote no on it. I guess I just don't understand exactly what we're trying to accomplish with this, but I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Councilwoman Gallego, one of the co-chairs of the ad hoc committee.
Thank you. I think today's motion is a very important step to signal to our community that we are a welcoming community. We have amazing stories in our community of immigrants who have contributed so much, refugees who have helped design our police stations, care for our families, welcome people at our airport. They have approached the city with some significant concerns on a variety of issues, and we're taking important steps today. We've seen that other cities have best practices on police operations orders that the community has told us over and over again would be role models for us. We, in this case, are not on the leading edge in Arizona, but this will help us adapt best practices that have been working in some cases for many years in other communities. We're hearing that that will make witnesses more comfortable sharing their stories. We're also hearing that it will really clarify our operations orders. In some cases, there have been significant court decisions and we are out of compliance. This city council is the body that settles lawsuits, and we really need to make sure we are mitigating our risk. So that will be an important step that we'll be taking today. These are initial steps. We still have a lot of work to do. It's an ever-evolving topic. There's been, even just this week, new news out of Washington, D.C. related to some promises that I thought we had from Washington, D.C. about people who are here through the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. So it continues to evolve, but we're hearing over and over again from our community that these are issues at the top of mind on public safety, and I'm glad that we'll be taking these initial steps today to be welcoming. I'm also proud that we'll be stepping forward to empower our refugee community today. We had testimony at the ad hoc subcommittee from several leaders related who work in our refugee community about workforce challenges that have come up, some long-term, but some in the past few months. And we'll be taking, again, steps today to address that and allow our refugee community to have more access to economic potential, which can only benefit all of us if people are able to more fully participate in the economy. So I want to thank our community and economic development team for stepping up and really looking at ways to use all the tools available. We've been thinking creatively here. We are just getting started, and there's a lot more work to done, but these are important initial steps, and I look forward to supporting the motion.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Other members of the council? Councilman Waring, you have more, please.
Mayor?
Just a moment, Councilman DeCiccio, Councilman Waring, and then I'll come to you.
Sure.
So, Chief, does this change anything with, so I think the statistics last year were like 32,000 arrests, maybe 1,500 of those I think were sent to ICE ultimately. Does this change any of that, or would any of those 1,500 not be sent to ICE for some reason? Because that seemed to be the crux of the discussion a month or so ago.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, so Councilman Waring, so you mean a change or adjustment in policy, would that change?
Would it change any of the outcomes?
No.
Okay, so it's not going to change anything about what we were discussing a month or so ago.
It's not going to change our suspects part.
Understand. So I guess that seemed to be what people were most inflamed about at the meeting a month ago. I understand why. I may disagree with their reasoning. I guess I would just say this. I understand about sending symbolic messages, et cetera. Like I said, this is politics. But I guess I would say if it's not going to change much in a practical manner, if we're basically tinkering around the margins, if you guys really want to make us a sanctuary city, vote to do that. I won't do it, but you know, other cities are, I guess, throwing down that they're going to be sanctuary cities or what have you. We are still, Chief, if I'm not mistaken, we're still following Senate Bill 1070, right? This isn't changing
We are definitely going
that.
to follow the law.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And that's the law, right? So again, I'm not sure this is going to change much of that. If you guys want to run for the legislature and change things there, then have at it. But again, this just seems like it's not really a substantive change. So for those who are in the audience who think this is going to help in some small way, it'll be pretty small, period. So that's all.
Thank you very much. Councilman DeCiccio?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question of staff. Is one of the discussions that was, at least that came out of the subcommittee was to support the proposals and the policies that were with the city of Tucson. Is this motion include that in there?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
So basically, and I'll tell you, I'm going to be voting no, clearly a strong no on this one, Mayor. All this does is when you start talking about welcoming, you're talking about welcoming of prisoners, people that are criminals, people that have been arrested for crimes in our city. These are individuals that have committed crimes, real crimes, like burglary, robbery. They've committed murders in our country, in our city,
Councilman
in our state.
DeCiccio, I would ask
That
you
is
to
who we're going
read
to be
what it
supporting
changes.
when you start talking about welcoming those individuals. When you start talking about sanctuary city status, when you start talking about trying to accommodate those individuals, you're talking clearly about those people that have committed crimes against individuals living in this country. Let's be really clear about that. When we start talking about being nice to them and them having rights, you're forgetting about the rights of the individuals, the victims in this country. So I think anything you're doing, any motion on this that takes away the rights of the victims is wrong-headed. I think it's the wrong thing to do. I'm going to be voting no on this, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much, Councilman DeCiccio. Yeah, the ad hoc committee did review operations orders of other jurisdictions in the state of Arizona, and yes, this would require that our operations order be aligned with those from Tucson, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, City of Mesa, that they viewed as best practices. So this would align our operations order with other jurisdictions that they recommended were engaging in best practices when it comes to interaction with children in school, victims of crime, and witnesses to crimes. Vice Mayor, you had a comment or question?
Go ahead, Councilman Valenzuela is going to handle this.
Councilman Valenzuela, please.
No, Mayor, I actually, and I hope Councilman DeCiccio is still online. I don't know if we lost them. I think there's a miscommunication. I don't know if it's from a lack of reading the packet. We are not becoming a sanctuary city with this vote. It was just, again, reaffirmed by the city attorney. This council took a position a few weeks ago on that matter, and I hear the same two council members continuing to stoke that fire, advocating more than anyone for that vote, only to say that they won't vote for it. That's politics. So, again, it's against the law for the city of Phoenix to become a sanctuary city. That's not what we're talking about here, and it's not politics. This is about, if you read the motion, first, it's not just aligning 4.48, police policy 4.48 to what Tucson is doing in their general order, but as the mayor stated, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, policy EB1, EB2, and EA11. Additionally, some of what Mesa is doing, again, as best practices. I agree with Councilwoman Williams, someone I have a great deal of respect for on the SRO program, school resource officers. I, for one, am an absolute strong advocate for keeping SROs in our schools. That's not what this is talking about. We're not talking about taking SROs out. We're talking about strengthening the relationships between SROs and school districts, between SROs and those students who view them as a resource. That's a very positive thing. I would advocate that every school district look into getting a school resource officer at their school. But I would also advocate that we continue to work on those relationships. We want our children to see our police officers as I do, and I mean that. Some of my best friends are police officers. Some of the people I trust most are police officers. I want our kids to feel that way as well. So this is talking about strengthening those relationships between our students, our parents, and our police department and our police officers. I think it makes us a safer community in doing so. There's a few others on here. You know, I was frankly shocked that the City of Phoenix Police Department was not keeping data on some of these things. This motion is going to ask the police chief to, well, direct the city manager, I should say, to work with the police chief on collecting data, something we should all be doing. This is what some members of the council will be voting no for. Working closer with the refugee community, some of our most vulnerable population in the city of Phoenix. At the end of the day, this is what some of our members of this council will vote no for, and they'll call it politics. This is the right thing to do. This is not about becoming a sanctuary city. This is about doing the right thing. I was proud to be on this ad hoc with my colleagues, the Vice Mayor, Laura Pastor, and Councilwoman Kate Gallego. And I'm honored to make this motion today, and I'm obviously absolutely supportive of it.
Thank you, Councilman. Vice Mayor?
Chief, I'm hearing that this won't change anything and this won't do anything. We're always following by the law. No matter what was changed, we're adhering to the law. Could you please explain to me or tell me what has changed?
So, Mr. Mayor and Vice Members, members of council, so far nothing has changed other than the fact that we are listening to conversations from yourselves, but more importantly, we're listening to conversations from members of our community, members of different subgroups. We still have one or a couple meetings coming up too. So at no time will I direct or ask or imply that my employees are going to violate the law. I took an oath of office, and the oath says I'm supposed to uphold the law. So we're listening to the concerns from different communities as well as schools in order to make the best decisions possible in how we police our community.
I would just add, Mayor, Vice Mayor, so the substance of this is, first of all, that you're directing that we have operations orders that are as up-to-date as possible with the best practices of the largest police departments in the state. And as the chief said, when she writes operations orders, she will make absolutely sure that they comply with the law. Also substantively, what will change is data collection. Also, the policy of the city will not to sign a 287G agreement with the federal government. That would be the policy. And then we will also be working with school districts on the questions of how school resource officers best serve the community and the school who has employed them to be school resource officers. As Councilwoman Gallego mentioned, then there are also substance about refugee training programs through our workforce development program, and we will create a website that will aggregate resources available to people in a one-stop environment. So there are several substantive changes that this means. As it relates, I think, to your question about the ops orders, particularly victims, witnesses, juveniles in the school setting, and the length of time that someone is detained will all conform to state law and recent court rulings and Attorney General's opinions.
And basically, we'll be in compliance, 4.40 will be in compliance in several court decisions. There are pieces of it that we're not in compliance. And we're going back and looking at court decisions and placing it into compliance.
That's correct. The chief has been thoroughly reviewing the ops order. As she said, she's also been having listening sessions. And this is a statement by the council of your policy intent that that operations order needs to be as up to date and with court decisions, attorney general opinions, and the best practices of the 4 largest police departments in the state of Arizona.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Gallego?
Councilman DeCiccio made a comment about this being about welcoming prisoners. And since I was the only one who used the word welcoming, I just wanted to make sure I clarified that I found that very offensive, that this is about prisoners. This is about being a welcoming city, and I spoke about welcoming immigrants and refugees. These are individuals who I count as friends, who have done amazing things for our community. They're individuals who in many cases have suffered economic harm as a result of presidential executive orders. When we say that people from the Somali community cannot come to this community, there were people in our community welcoming their loved ones, perhaps their business partners, who couldn't because of this result. These are people who are here with legal status. In some cases, they are citizens. They are very much welcome here and are in no way prisoners. So I really just think that shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what we are doing here today, and I find the language about prisoners to be very offensive.
Mayor?
Councilwoman Williams, please.
I just want to ask Ed, everything that's on that list, could the chief implement without formal action?
Everything on the recommendations 1 through 6, just to clarify. In some cases, yes. In other cases, no. So the chief does have authority to write operations orders. What I take this to be is a statement of policy by the council about the council as a collective, the policy about victims, specifically victims, witnesses, juveniles in a school setting, and the things there. As it relates to 287G, that is the...
Explain that in the school setting, when you tag that on. What are you talking about?
That's really how school resource officers interact with juveniles.
That might be in some areas, but I don't think it is in all areas.
Not every school has a school resource officer, but the intention is where there are school resource officers that the chief is going to write orders about how they interact with juveniles in school.
It just surprises me because I have had nothing but compliments for every school resource officer in my district that I'm aware of, and never had a complaint on the interaction. In fact, sometimes they said you should be tougher, but not as a formal complaint. But that just surprises me. I'm leery about where that's headed, but I don't know what's true in other areas. But
and the ad hoc, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Now finish.
Well, the ad hoc committee did take testimony from school district and students in school, so that was part of the ad hoc committee's testimony. As it relates to item number 2, I think that's really just a statement of policy by the council of an expectation of data collection. We certainly need to do that, but I think the council, the ad hoc committee, is recommending the council a very strong statement there. Recommendation 3 really is the purview of the council as to whether or not we will sign specific agreements with the federal government. So the chief could not make that decision unilaterally.
Can't you do that now?
No.
Okay.
She would need to, I would need to request of the council that we be allowed to do something. This is a proactive
really
statement
change.
of policy about that. I'm sorry.
Okay. I mean, this doesn't change anything that's currently on the table today.
We currently do not have a 287G agreement signed with the federal government.
Right.
But this would say that we would not sign one.
Okay.
Councilman Nowakowski, please.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I just want to thank my colleagues, the Vice Mayor, Councilmember Gallegos, and Valenzuela for putting this ad hoc committee together and listening to our community's concerns. And the concerns were that there was no data out there, that individuals would call. I know I've gotten many calls, and basically there was no data on these types of calls. So now that we're going to have data, thank you very much for doing that. The workforce is going to be very helpful, especially for those immigrants that need training and all that. And to make sure that the city of Phoenix won't enter into a 287G contract is something that it's a win. But I think this is a small first step. I think what we really need to do as the city of Phoenix is be the first city in the state of Arizona to actually sue the state on SB 1070. I believe that there's some stuff there that's against city charter, and we're asking our officers to do things that they should be doing. So the only way, if we're really gonna make an impact, and if we really wanna make a strong impact in the Hispanic community and the immigrant community, is really fighting the devil itself, which is SB 1070. I know that the community has done that, and they've taken out many portions of it, so SB 1070 isn't really the same bill that was passed in 2010. It's been fought in court, and it's been dismissed, many parts of it, but there hasn't been a city, a municipality, that has challenged the city's aspect of SB 1070, and I believe that's what we need to do. I believe that that's the next step. I think we should continue having this ad hoc committee, meet with the community, and maybe meet in the afternoons. A lot of people that are interested in this subject, they actually work, and the best times is probably after 5 or 6 o'clock, and if we can actually meet in the communities, maybe in the Maryville and South Phoenix areas, I think it would be very beneficial for my colleagues to hear firsthand. I actually work for a nonprofit organization that deals on a daily basis with the newly arrived, and I can tell you that people that have work visas, that people that have green cards, people that have student visas, they're afraid. They're afraid to call the police, and they're afraid because they're family members that might not have the proper documentations, or maybe a student that happened to stay over their student visa, and they're in that process right now. So right now, crime is down, but I believe ever since SB 1070, crime has went down because the calls have went down. Individuals in our community are afraid to call the police, and that's sad, because the police should be here to serve and protect everyone. And I know our Phoenix Police Department is a police department that serves all people. So I think that we need to take the so-called handcuffs off our police officers and challenge SB 1070 as a city. And that's my recommendation.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Other members of the council, comments? Vice Mayor?
Mayor?
First Vice Mayor, and then Councilman DeCiccio next.
Thank you.
I just want to read the language that we were speaking about in Mesa's policy. School resource officers shall remain mindful of their unique position as liaisons between the department and one of the most vulnerable and impressionable segments of the community, school children. SROs shall seek to foster trust, cooperation, and safety among students with whom they interact. SROs shall not compromise the ability of students to interact, cooperate with an SRO without fear of repercussion based upon their immigration status. Accordingly, when interacting with minors, SROs shall refrain from asking about immigration status. Where questions exist as to what enforcement actions should be taken, officers should contact their immediate supervisor for direction. We don't have that language. And currently, as stated in the ad hoc committee, is that there are school districts that are thinking about removing SROs from their schools. Not all schools have SROs, not all schools have this issue. However, our community is facing this at this moment, and I'm not really sure, and I'm listening to both sides, and I'm in the middle of the SRO debate, but we do have to keep our community safe. We have to keep those that are most vulnerable and children safe, and we do want to have a sense in our community of trust. Trust needs to be built. Trust needs to be there with SROs, and to me, this is very important. If it's not changing anything, it's in the eye of the beholder, but for some, it's changing something. And so I'm very passionate about this because I know what's happening, and I know how sitting on a Phoenix Union school board hear it and understand it. And so I think this type of language is very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilman DeCiccio?
Thank you, Mayor. Got a couple of questions of staff and as the police chief. Do you believe that the Tucson ordinance or the operations order to be compliant with 1070 with the law, state law?
I'll ask our city attorney, Mayor, to.
Well, no, I'm asking the police chief. I'm sorry.
Well, the police chief is advised by the city attorney, so.
No, I'm asking the police chief. I'm sorry.
And the police chief is advised by the city attorney, so I would suggest that we let the city
No,
attorney.
I'm
and then
asking
the
a
chief
question.
can
I'm
answer
allowed
that.
to ask a question of the staff member. If you want to deny me, then deny me. Say you deny me of that opportunity.
I think, Councilman, what the city manager's suggesting is that you would be asking our police chief to give a legal opinion.
No, I'm asking the police chief if she believes, specifically, if the Tucson operation order follows state law.
All right, I'll ask the chief to speak, if you want to speak generally about the Tucson operations order without sort of giving your personal, kind of a legal opinion that would be
Right.
suggested to be on behalf of the city of Phoenix, but you get the gist. You want to talk about the Tucson order, please do.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Councilman DeCiccio, there are some components that are in compliance. There are some that are out of compliance based on some recent court rulings, and part of the adjustment in policy will be to address that also.
You're speaking of the.
So if we were to follow the Tucson
Oh, I thought he meant the Phoenix order.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, Councilman DeCiccio, I was speaking about the Phoenix order.
If we were to follow with the Tucson operation order, do you think we would be compliant with Arizona law?
So, Mr. Mayor, members of Councilman DeCiccio, to be honest, I haven't read the Tucson policy in its entirety to know what they're in compliance with. I am the expert or the subject matter expert in the Phoenix Police Department policy, not the Tucson policy, sir.
But of the items that you have read, do you believe that it's in full compliance?
I will go back to what I stated before, Councilman DeCiccio. Again, I know the Phoenix policy. I am not aware of all the intricacies of the Tucson policy, sir.
Brad?
Okay, and then a city attorney's office on February 27th, we had a city attorney tell us that they did not believe that the Tucson ordinance was in compliance. That would be the city attorney.
All right, I'll leave it up to the city manager. City attorney is your employee. Answer, Billy, feel comfortable to answer that question.
Yeah. Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, so we have looked at the Tucson ops order. To the extent Tucson has other policies or ordinances that address the same issues, we haven't studied those, but it was suggested that we look at the Tucson ops order, and we have looked at that. As I understand it, the hallmark feature of the ops order in Tucson was to protect victims and witnesses from interrogation on their immigration status, particularly when there was no basis to stop them under state law. And we believe that the Tucson, and have always believed that the Tucson ops order complied with 1070 on that point. That's the issue that we focused on.
Well, without that point, do you believe that it complies with state law in its entirety?
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, while I haven't studied every last comma and period in it.
Well, your attorneys have, Brad. Your attorneys have studied it and told us on February 27th that they did not believe that it complied with state law. I just want to know if you're backing that up or not.
Well, Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, I don't know with whom you spoke, but here's what I can say.
Gina LaRock,
is
she there?
I have read the ops order. Jen LaRock is here. I've discussed it with Jen LaRock, and our general belief is that it does comply with 1070 because it has the fundamental requisites required by 1070. And in that sense, it's fully compliant with 1070.
And Mayor, if I could
So
just
you
add
believe
this.
that the Tucson operations order complies with 1070 in its entirety?
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, I definitely believe that that the Tucson ops order is not illegal, but measured against 1070. I can't say if every single thing in it complies with all aspects of state law, but it does comply in all particulars with 1070.
And if I can just clarify.
So Jen LaRock on February 27th told my staff specifically that they did not believe that occurred. that it complied. So you're saying that it does?
It does.
Okay. That's all I needed to know.
Thank you very much. Look, the reality is,
Mayor,
if we were to vote in the affirmative today and adopt a policy that children in school, witnesses to crimes, or victims of crimes would not be subject to, at least Phoenix police officers providing that information over to federal authorities, to ICE, as a policy of the city of Phoenix, no one is naive to think that that may not result in litigation. We may, in fact, be subject to litigation. I think what our city attorney is saying is that he thinks there's a strong basis upon which to defend any particular piece of litigation if we were to take that principled position here on behalf of the city of Phoenix. Councilman, go ahead.
Mayor, that's correct.
Councilman? Any other members? Councilman Valenzuela, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, thank you for your work throughout this entire process. You misunderstood Councilman DeCicio's question to begin with. I believe you felt that he was asking.
No, she didn't. She did not misunderstand.
Hey, Sal, I got the
Quit
floor.
talking about me,
Councilman
Danny,
DeCiccio.
without
Councilman Valenzuela has the floor. Councilman DeCiccio, you have the opportunity to speak afterwards. Councilman Valenzuela, please.
Hey, thanks, Councilman.
And
Appreciate it.
Councilman DeCiccio, Councilman Valenzuela.
Chief Williams, what I'm
Councilman
asking.
Valenzuela has the floor.
Like yourself, that constantly
Councilman DeCiccio, Councilman Valenzuela, we have to cut him off.
Mayor, this
Councilman Valenzuela, you have the floor, and then Councilman DeCiccio, you'll have the opportunity to speak thereafter. Please,
He knows
Councilman,
the rules, Mayor. He's been on this council for 2 or 3 times longer than any of us. He knows exactly how these meetings go. This is what he's going for. The point
Councilman
is,
Valenzuela, please.
we are now trying to get something done here. So, Councilman DeCiccio, if you'd please give me the floor so we can get something done here. You are the expert of the current city policies. And I think you stated that you believe that we may be out of compliance on some of these.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of Councilman Valenzuela, there were some recent court rulings that address some of the components in our current policy that need to be removed in order for us to be in compliance with the state law and with current practices.
Thank you. So this recommendation is, again, to look at the Mesa Police Policy Manual 2.4.35, Tucson Police Department General Order 2300, and Maricopa County Sheriff's Office Policies EB1, EB2, and EA11. Additionally, Operations Order 4.48 should be in compliance with recent court decisions. Currently, we are probably at risk of being out of compliance. So this is going to put us, I believe, on the right path. And it's going to, again, it's just going to move our city in the right direction. I just wanted to make that clear as I worked on this ad hoc, and we spent a lot of time on this topic. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Councilman Valenzuela.
Mayor?
I promised Councilman DeCiccio go back to him, and then
Okay.
Councilman Williams. Councilman DeCiccio, I wanted you to have a chance. Councilman Valenzuela had the floor, but it seemed like there was something else you wanted to interject.
Thank you, Mayor. One, I think there are 2 of us on the council right now that have direct descendants that came from other countries, that our parents came from other countries. I think Michael Nowakowski and myself had direct parents that came from other countries. So we're sons of immigrants. What this policy does is it starts moving us closer to protecting those people that have committed crimes in this country and forgetting about the victims of this country and of this city and this state. That's all this is going to do. It moves us closer to protecting those criminals.
All right, thank you very much. Other members of the council? Councilman Williams, please.
Mayor, I was wondering if the maker of the motion would divide it into 2 and take one as a separate first item and then the rest as a group. I can support everything but one, and I cannot support giving the chief direct order to change the operations.
Councilwoman Williams, I have the utmost respect for you and your leadership, and you know that. And if that's your wish, I'm the maker of the motion, I would be okay with that. How would you like to separate this?
Just vote on one and then the rest.
Okay.
So we would vote on recommendation 1, which
separately,
happens to be on 4.48, and the second would be on recommendations
the
2,
office
3,
orders,
4,
right?
5, and 6.
Okay, so when we have a vote, we'll separate in that regard at the request of Councilwoman Williams. Other comments or questions? Councilwoman Stark, please.
Just, thank you for your separation, but I still think when you read it, it says to direct the police department to modernize. It's still your decision with your department to modernize in a way with the attorneys you feel will direct it. So we're just suggesting that you look at it, but it will still be up to you, correct? Also, part of what they did in Mesa and Tucson really was to address victims, to help them come forward to go after the bad guys, right? When I reviewed the Mesa, that's the way I read it, was giving some additional protection to witnesses and victims so they felt more empowered to go after the bad guys, period, right? Did I read
Yes.
that wrong?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So,
Okay, any other comments by members of this council? Vice Mayor?
so to be clear, Councilman Stark, it does not protect criminals in the slightest. It protects victims, witnesses, refugees, students, those of the vulnerable population, and I am not sure why anybody would advocate on anybody's behalf to protect criminals. So I just want to get that clear.
Thank you very much. Councilman Nowakowski?
So going back to Councilmember Stark's question, so we're just giving you some recommendations. You're going to go back and create a new ordinance or modify it. Is that correct, or?
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, at the direction of the city manager, yes. And this is something that we do all the time with policy anyway.
Okay.
Councilwoman Stark, do you have an additional question?
Yeah, so back in the day, when I was planning director, I got direction from the council to look at some policies and how we do inspections. So you gave us suggestions, but it was still up to my department to look at and how to implement it, and that's what we're suggesting to the police department. Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor.
I promise. Chief, this question's for you. Would you ever make any changes to the operation orders that would protect criminals?
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Vice Mayor, we always have to protect rights of individuals. But in this policy, what we're talking about are changes that are going to be impactful to the victims and witnesses. So when you say write something in policy to protect the criminals, it's our job to go get the criminals. But there are still some things by civil rights that we have to make sure that criminals have and are entitled to. So.
Correct, but you wouldn't, I'm asking, there was a statement that this policy would add, we're protecting criminals. So I'm just asking, would you, in your authority and protecting everybody within the city and also protecting the men in blue and the women, would you write any ordinance that would protect criminals?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so I guess at the request of Councilman Williams, we're going to take these in a different order. So instead of all recommendations at once, we'll first vote on recommendation number 1. Recommendation number 1 is that the city manager direct the police department to modernize Phoenix Police Operations Order 4.48 to align with the policies outlined in Mesa Police Department Policy Manual 2.4.35, Tucson Police Department General Order 2300, and Maricopa County Sheriff's Office Policies EB-1, EB-2, and EA-11. Additionally, Operations Order 4.48 should be in compliance with recent court decisions.
And
Mr. City Attorney?
And Mayor, since we're treating that as a separate motion, could we get a separate second on that before you vote on it?
All right, so
'Cause it's
the
essentially a
seconder
modified
is okay.
motion.
Okay, so
Yes.
we do have a
Yes.
separate second on that motion. And my understanding is that specifically, this will direct the city manager to work with our police chief and the leadership team of the Phoenix Police Departments, that our operations order will ensure that school resource officers who come in contact with students in school will not direct that those students be handed over to federal authorities. witnesses of crime be treated the same, and victims of crime. I want to thank the leaders of the ad hoc committee, put in a lot of time and took a lot of testimony to get to these very strong yet common sense recommendations. I do believe strongly that when victims of crime and witnesses of crime feel they can come to the Phoenix Police Department and report what happened to them or what they witnessed, that will be a safer community. And there's no doubt, unfortunately and sadly, that many in our community don't feel as comfortable as they should coming forward to report crimes that they have been a victim of or that they have witnessed. And I believe that as a result of these policy changes with our operations order, that we will have a safer city here in the city of Phoenix. And I do want to again thank the members of the ad hoc committee. Great work, and I will be supporting this motion. Roll call.
DeCiccio. DeCiccio.
I think that was a no.
Mayor, again, I'm a son of an immigrant. The fact of the matter is that this is only going to be doing more to protect the criminals than the victims of crime. It moves us in a bad direction. It's something that we should not be doing in the city of Phoenix. We should be looking forward toward always protecting the victims first. This does not do that. It looks at ways of harboring people that have committed and are arrested of crimes in the city, and I'm going to be voting no.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
No.
Pastor.
I'm voting to protect victims, witnesses, and refugees, so I am a yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, so the motion passes on a 6-3 motion on this 6-3 motion on the city council. Now we'll move to the second part of it, which is a recommendation 2 through 6. There is a motion. I assume the seconder is okay with that. Any additional comments on this city council? Again, I want to thank the members of the ad hoc committee who went about this process in very thoughtfully, in a detailed manner, and took lots of testimony. And I thought the recommendations were strong and also very creative. In particular, that it is, assuming this passes, it will be the policy of this city council that we will not enter any agreement with the Trump administration as it results in immigration enforcement. You've heard a lot of statements about that in that regard. This will put that specific policy into practice. It will strengthen our school resource officer program as it relates to interacting with students in our public schools. I want to particularly be thankful for the recommendation as it relates to our refugee community. Many who come to this country with advanced degrees and this policy, by developing a workforce program, will better support those families and individuals so that they can get their proper accreditation here and earn higher wages and better support their families. And I do also like that, hopefully in addition to webpage, there'll be other things that we'll be doing to show support for both our immigrant community and our refugee community through a webpage and others. So I want to thank, again, the leaders of the ad hoc committee. Great job, and I'll be supporting the motion. Any additional comments by members of this council?
Mayor, does it actually say you won't ever cooperate with President Trump?
Say it again.
I didn't see that written there, that the city will never.
At least as the recommendation is that we not agree to a 287G with the federal government, which obviously I was used as
Right.
interactive with the Trump administration. Yeah.
As of today.
As of today, obviously, future councils, future mayors may be elected and disagree with that particular policy, but that would be the policy of this city council.
Well, I just want to say that I don't think it's our police officers' responsibility to do ICE's job. I think if that's their job, and they should hire a sufficient number of people to accomplish it. So if that's what we're talking about, then I agree.
That is a much smoother way of describing what we are doing, Councilmember, yes. All right. Roll call.
DeCiccio. DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, the motion passes on a 7-2 vote. of this city council. We'll now go back in our regular order for our city council agenda. And I believe that item 48 was next on our city council agenda. Item 48 is the proposed agreement with AFSCME for training and other workshops as defined in the MOU signed by the City of Phoenix and AFSCME for budget years 2016 through 19. Is there a motion on item 48?
Second. A motion. I move item 48.
Vice Mayor has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Mr. Leonard Clark, did you provide testimony for the City Council on item 48?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Leonard Clark. I am strongly for this. I know there are members on the council who don't like bands of men and women getting together, trying to protect what little money they make. And I understand fiscal accountability, but I think that the more we work with our brothers and sisters who unite together to make sure that they get a fair living wage, that the smoother we can work together and not have a situation that occurs in other parts of the country where pensions are getting into problems. So thank you, and I hope you'll vote for this.
Thank you very much. There is a motion and a second. Any comments by members of the council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, motion passes 7-2. Next item on the agenda is item number 50, a proposed agreement with Stephen J. Yazzie for videography and photography services for the Office of Arts and Culture. Is there a motion on 50?
I move item 50.
Second.
There is a motion on 50. There is a second. Are there any cards on item number 50? Any members of the council like to comment on item number 50? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams. Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton. Yes, the item passes 7-2 as well. Next item on the agenda,
Item number 58. I'd like to move that.
item 58. There's a motion in favor. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Any cards on 58? Any comments by members of the city council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes, I have a question.
Councilwoman, or Vice Mayor, please. She has a question on 58.
In 58, if we vote no, are we saying we don't want voting centers? What does that mean?
Mayor, I was going to change my vote on that one. I'm sorry. I thought it was 50. That's all I could hear.
Okay, so 58, Councilman DeCiccio, did you want to?
Oh, I'm a yes. I'm a yes on that one.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll make sure the record reflects that. Councilman, our Vice Mayor Pastor had a question about the implications if this were not to pass. And if you have a personal reason for voting against it, I think the best way is just to explain. Now would be the time to explain why you're voting yes or no on this particular item.
I'm just curious if
This Mayor, Vice Mayor Pastor, this is designating voting centers. There are 18 of them designated for the election on August 29th, and it establishes the days, the 3 days that they're open, and the hours of those days that they are open. That's what this does.
well, I was curious only because I'm up for re-election and was curious if I voted no, is it saying that, or if the majority was no, we didn't want voting centers, or what is it saying?
I believe if the council were to vote no on this, then we would not have voting centers. I'll
Okay.
look to the city clerk.
And then, okay, if we didn't have voting centers, who would run our elections?
At this point, Mayor, Council, Vice Mayor, there's no plan, I don't think, and we'd be in violation of federal law.
I was
and
just
state
curious.
law as well.
Okay, thank you, I'm a yes.
Thank you. On occasion in the past, council members have given thoughts to our city clerk about where those centers should be located, and I think we may have even added a few in years past because of requests by council members because they thought they were missing an area. But we've always had voting centers, at least since we went to the voting center concept. Councilman Waring.
Thank you. Sorry, I pull this and vote no every year. It's not against elections. It's nothing against our city clerk and his fine work. I've always thought people in my district, I have a long geographic district, a big geographic district, so I always thought be a little bit shortchanged, some of the northern, eastern areas particularly on this. So again, it's nothing about not having an election and so forth. I also frankly vote against a lot of our election stuff because I don't feel we should be running our own elections. But I saw you guys whispering, so if you'd like to respond to that. But you can vote no with me, you can vote yes, whichever you prefer. But I vote no on this every single time, and I understand it's open 3 days, and that's great, but I think the accessibility in my particular area is a concern for me.
No, I was just curious, if we voted it no, who would then run the elections? And there's 4 of us, I think, up for elections, and I was just curious. And that's all.
Mayor?
Can we do it by acclamation? Just kidding.
Good try.
Councilman Valenzuela.
I thought you were going to say the counties, Waring, that you would want the counties to run the elections. Adrian's good.
Well, frankly, given all the issues that we have all seen in a recent election, we are in good shape by holding our own elections here at the City of Phoenix with our city clerk's office. And I like the fact that we have voting over 3 days. I like the fact that we have universal voting centers, meaning you could take your ballot and drop it off at the center nearest your place of work or your children's school or your home or whatever the case might be. We need to make a stronger statement. We should always continue to move in that direction of making voting easier for people in our community. In fact, if everyone comes out to the ballot, well, then we'll get the best result. Whether we like it or not, we'll get the best result, and we should never be afraid of that. So I am supportive of this, and in fact, I would be supportive of getting more voting centers in Councilman Waring's district. Way up north, whatever the case might be, I'd be supportive of that as well. But I know that that's not the motion. The motion is as it is written, and I am supportive.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, I apologize. Okay, so the vote is, what was the vote? 8-1. Councilman DeCiccio is a yes on this. Councilman Waring is a no on this. Okay, 8-1, the vote passes. Next item on the agenda is item
69.
69. There's a card on that item. Is there a motion in favor of 69?
To move it. There's a,
Okay. So we're making sure we're voting on the right thing. So item 69 is?
We're talking about the canines. This is an important one.
oh, the
Okay,
canine
so,
equipment.
yeah, so item 69 for Police Department canine equipment and supply. Oh, apologize. 69 is for Police Department canine equipment and supplies. Councilman Williams noted that because it involves dogs, it's particularly important. All right, Leonard Clark, do we have a motion on 69? Do we have a motion? We have a motion in favor. Do we have a second? We have a second. Leonard Clark.
I thought this, excuse me, was this the one on the cameras?
No, it says police canine.
Oh, I do apologize.
No
I
problem.
meant to place the one for the cameras for the police.
What
I don't
number
know if
is
it's
that?
possible to speak on that.
71, okay, that'll be next one.
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
All right, so there's a motion in favor and a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor. Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Item 71 is police camera equipment and supplies requirements contract. J.J. Johnson, do you want to provide testimony on the before this council on that proposed item?
I need to move item 71.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson? And then followed by Leonard Clark on 71.
Mayor, members of the council, if the city of Phoenix had a mature, realistic body camera policy on 319, we would have had video evidence of a Phoenix police officer calling me boy. An officer responded to a domestic incident that happened at my neighbor's house. When the officer approached, because one of the people was at my house, I said, "Officer, we're over here." Officer McCarnes walked up and said, "What's going on, boys?" I said, "What did you say to me?" And he said, "I said, what's going on, boys?" I've accepted the apology of Chief Williams. I want a written apology from Officer McCarnes and his Sergeant Lester, who tried to gaslight me, saying it's a really common greeting. We have not, as a city, moved the ball forward. We keep screwing around with the body camera policy. You know, we have about 100 cameras out there right now. You know, even when we have body cameras, we see officers like Kevin McGowan participate in the murder of Muhammad Muhammad on video, and we still do nothing about it. We continue to play around with it. We say, oh, you know, the storage is too expensive, the redaction is too difficult. Figure it out. Every other major city has figured this out. I refuse to believe that the leadership of this city and the members of this council are not as good at their jobs as the chief of police in Flagstaff, the chief of police in Cottonwood, Tucson, Tempe, Gilbert. Enough is enough. Figure it out.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. His original comment didn't directly relate to the camera, but I assume there's an appropriate review of what of the story that was told by Mr. Johnson about the inappropriate language. Okay, Leonard Clark.
Well, I believe that the good gentleman just pretty much said a lot of what I wanted to say, except that I hope that we will get as many body cameras as possible. And that, you know, I'm concerned about when they're being turned on, when they're being turned off, and I'm concerned about how our policy with these cameras is being affected by the police union going to the legislature, not just enforcing the law, but helping to make the law now. I'm concerned about that. Police should not be investigating police. So if the cameras are here, let's not let them turn them off, except, you know, when they're using the restroom, that type of thing. So I'm for this. Thank you.
Mayor,
Thank you very much. Councilman Stark, please.
aren't these cameras actually for crime scene? We're not talking about, I appreciate your comments on body cameras, but this is actually about cameras that they use at crime scenes? Okay, thank you.
You are correct, yes. I gave him some space on the issue of cameras and police, but yes. Okay, thank you very much. The point that Councilman Stark is making is that this particular item that's on the agenda is not police body cameras, it's crime scene cameras. Okay, there is a motion in favor and a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is item 77. Is there any cards in 77? Is there a motion at 77?
Approval of 77.
Motion in favor of 77. Any comments from this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. So the item passes 8-1. Next item is 78.
I move approval of 78.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on 78. Any comments from Councilman Waring? Do you have comments, please?
If the staff is here.
Staff here on the issue of the artist design contract for Terminal 3 modernization North Concourse Bridge.
So just a quick couple things. So, they get seated. So this does not increase the total cost, is that correct? And it may have some practical value in reducing the heat on the walkway. Are those two comments correct? The cost, we've already allocated the money. Is that right?
Mayor and Councilman Waring, I'm going to ask Ed Lebo, Public Art Director, to answer your question.
Mr. Lebo.
Mr. Mayor, Council, and Councilman Waring, the answer is yes to the first, and to the second, we think it's going to reduce the heat load on that bridge.
Okay. So just to sum up, it's just shifting some money to the design phase from the overall cost, which was already passed by the council a while ago. So we're not really voting on the cost, we're just shifting the cost. And it may have some practical value, which I support, so.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
This part of the Percent for the Art program? Excellent.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so there is a motion on the table. There is a second. Any other comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego. Noakowski. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Item 79 is next, 107th Avenue Street Design Contract, Streetscape Design Contract Amendment.
Move approval.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any cards on that item? Councilman Waring, did you have any comments on item 79? Roll call.
DeCiccio. DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego. Noakowski.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, so that item passes 8-1. Next item on the agenda is item number 80. Item number 80 is proposed development agreement with Clark Street Holdings. We have a number of cards on that item. Do we want to put a motion on the table on number 80, Vice Mayor?
We'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second in favor of item number 90. Let's see, we have
80.
80, I apologize, 80. Dan Clockey from Downtown Phoenix, Inc., did you provide testimony on this item? Okay. Dorina Bustamante?
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Dorina Bustamante. I'm here today to express support of the CA Ventures request for a GPLET on behalf of the Evans Churchill Community Association, which is where this project is proposed. Evans Churchill is a neighborhood between Central and 7th Street, Fillmore to Moreland, which is just south of Hants Park, and the community benefits proposed by the project team are very exciting for our neighborhood and also for the Roosevelt Row Arts District. And the team has been very active in the community over the past year in discussing the project with us and open to critiques and ideas. So we look forward to their project advancing and their impact on the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Great to see you. Mr. Tom Galvin from Rose Law Group, neutral on the item. Good to see you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Thomas Galvin with Rose Law Group on behalf of our client, Aspirant Development. Our client is a land developer, local developer, who's been involved in creating jobs in the valley for over 50 years. They've actually been involved in another exciting project that would bring a giblet in local development to downtown Phoenix, and that's for the Circles Building, the Stewart project. They have worked for the last 9 months with all of the neighbors, in fact, have done a terrific job in creating support for this project because they have been able to listen and solicit feedback of the concerns of these folks. But what they would like is for this council to give them a hearing. We congratulate the developer who has a hearing today with the city council, but this project has been unable to get a hearing, and we just like to get a fair shake. We'd like to have, in a sense of fairness, an opportunity to present a great idea. This project would be the tallest multifamily residential project in downtown Phoenix.
I got obviously the item on the agenda is the Clark Street project, and I appreciate the point you're making, but you can't go in substantively into more detail because this is not an agendized item.
Sure.
Your client's project.
Just wanted to provide public comment about a downtown giblet project that we believe the council should hear us about, and that we have been working with the neighbors and have support from Roosevelt Association, Thunderdome, and it would be a fantastic
It's
project,
not
even
public
taller
comment.
than City Hall.
I'm sorry.
All right, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, also in favor, not wishing to speak, is Tim McGillett, Joe Herzog, Ryan Sadawi, Matthew Katsaros, and Mr. David Kreider, President of Downtown Phoenix, Inc. Is anyone else here wishing to testify on item number 80, the proposed development agreement for Clark Street Holdings? All right, so we have a motion on the table. We have a second. Any comments from members of this council? Councilman Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make the comment that each one of these that come before us, I review it very closely and do it on an individual basis on what I think is what's best for the city. And whether we hear another one or not, and what my opinion is, falls within that classification. I think this project, pardon me, is outstanding and will be a real asset to downtown Phoenix.
Thank you very much, Councilman Williams. Other members of the council? Councilman Nowakowski?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to ask the applicant, what is the community purpose, or what project do they have? Or
Mr. Paul Blue is coming forward. Chris Mackey, our Economic Development Director. I'm not sure which professional staff person can answer that question. Mr. Blue.
I'm sorry, Mayor, Councilman Okowski, I couldn't quite hear you as I was walking up. I
I
apologize.
was just wondering what the community purpose was for the chiplet. If you can explain that to us.
So,
Why is staff recommending this, I think is really the question. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Mackey, who will talk through the benefits of the project.
Thank you so much.
Mayor, Councilman Nowakowski, this is an exciting project for the Roosevelt Row area. The community benefits for this are, over time, significant financial impact into the community in the form of property tax, construction sales tax, and lease tax. But I think what's interesting is what the developer put forward in their proposal to us, which is to bring 5% of the units into workforce housing and to allow 50% of the ground floor space to be eligible for our incubators, our retail space, our artisans, and nonprofits free for a 2-year period of time. So allowing some of these early stage companies to really grow in the market and gain notoriety so then they can move into more commercialized space.
Thank you. I'll be supporting this project also. The other thing is, I do have a concern that we have other applications within my district, which is just blocks away. How do we get those on the books so we can actually vote it up or down for the future?
I think more of a question for the city manager about the process upon which items are added to either policy agendas or formal agendas.
Thank you, Mayor. So in this case, we conduct a request for proposals, an RFP, and staff evaluates those, and then if there's something to recommend to the council, we will bring those forward. If there's something the council would prefer to do out of that process, then the council rules do have a way for council members in groups of 3, I believe, to put something on, request something on an agenda.
The only reason I bring this up is that we've had several calls today regarding the Circles building, and also why are we jumping ahead with other projects that this one's already been lined up for a year or so working with the community. So I really didn't have an answer for that. So if we can actually put it on our downtown aviation subcommittee to actually hear it there, or put it on the agenda for the future to either vote it up or vote it down on its merits, I think we should do that. That's just a personal comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Other comments, members of the council? Councilman Valenzuela, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor?
And Councilman Cecil will get to you for sure.
Thank you.
I am absolutely supportive of this project. I think it's a great project. This highlights why the GIPLET is a tool, an economic development tool, and a very valuable one, especially in the state of Arizona, as we have very few tools for economic development. But just for the record, I want to ask our Economic Development Director, Ms. Mackey, what the economic impact is for this project.
Mayor, Councilman Valenzuela, I'd be happy to answer that. So if we look at the existing property today, it's paying about $64,000 in property tax. And then we look at these projects and we say, so on its own, if it built on its own, what would the market support today? And that would be the traditional kind of 4-story wood frame construction projects that we're seeing throughout the community. They're absolutely wonderful projects. And you'd see that somewhere between $400,000 and $415,000 a year in full ad valorem property tax. When you look at this project, and you move it forward with all 3 towers built, you will see approximately $5 million annually in property tax that will be divided up between all taxing jurisdictions.
So obviously, this is an economic development tool. Some will question why we need such a tool. Well, I don't know. Ask the developer, ask the applicant if they would build these towers without this tool. There's probably a reason why nothing has been built there to this point, to this scale. So I also look at each of these incredibly carefully, and I think this is going to change the Phoenix skyline now as opposed to 20 years from now. It's an exciting project that will benefit us with workforce housing. I can visualize public art. I can visualize co-working spaces, a place that our entrepreneurs want to be, to work and thrive. It's an exciting project and one of those things that will definitely move downtown Phoenix, hence the entire city forward. So I am absolutely supportive of it. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Vice Mayor.
Chris, I would like to know how you got to 5% of workforce housing, because the trend, if you, and the other, before you answer that question, the first question really is, did you speak to any of our workforce housing nonprofits in regards to the 5%?
Mayor, Vice Mayor Pastor, the 5% was offered by the developer in their request for proposal that they submitted. Staff did not make any negotiations on workforce housing. This was submitted in the original proposal by the developer. So we did not negotiate back and forth on any additional. And no, we did not speak to any of our local workforce nonprofits on this particular proposal.
The reason why I'm asking is because I work closely with them, those in the affordable housing and the workforce housing, and the trend, or where it's at, is at 15%. And I made a request through staff to ask if the developer was willing to go to the standard of 15%. I just never got an answer, so.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, I may be wrong, but I wasn't asked for the additional 15%, so I apologize for that. I know the developer met with other individuals within the city, and I think that request may have been made with them at that time. I think as they looked at their proposal, 5% was what they felt they could move forward with this particular item.
Okay, so if it was, and this probably should be a future policy piece in the future regarding giblets, but looking at how many units, I want to say 600, but I'm not sure.
612, Vice Mayor.
612 and 15%, right now at 5%, it's only, what, 30 units, I want to say?
That's correct.
And out of 612, 90 units, and the reason why I'm advocating for 90 units is due to the fact that it's 612 units. We know that we are pushing for density downtown. We are also pushing for workforce housing because we know eventually when it is built and the city is built, the downtown area, there will affordable housing or workforce housing won't exist. And so that's why I'm advocating the way I'm advocating. I guess I would like to ask the developer that. I don't know if I can or not, or.
You certainly may. Is a representative of the developer here?
Mayor, they are.
Okay, so the councilwoman, Vice Mayor, has a question for you. All right, and please state your name for the record.
Matt Katsaros, Vice President of Acquisitions for CA Ventures, Clark Street Holdings.
Ryan Sedawi with CA Ventures.
Vice Mayor.
I'm just curious as to how you came up for the 5%.
This is a high-rise product. Obviously, it's a very expensive construction type of product. Generally speaking, the workforce housing or affordable housing units in any municipality are challenging to get into these very expensive buildings. We wanted to make sure we had some workforce housing. It's a very important issue. Financially, we thought that we could afford to do 5%. One way we solved the problem to make this more affordable is we designed the building with slightly smaller units than some of our competitors. So our chunk rents, our rents per unit, are really quite a bit lower than our competitors in the luxury space. So if you look at the total number of units of 612 units, 40% or so are really considered to be more in line with what the majority of folks can afford. And the workforce housing will be significantly lower than that at 5% of the units.
Okay, and what would, if I was going to rent and I was part of that 40%, what would the rent be?
It would be between $1,250 and $1,550 unit.
That's the smaller unit?
You're correct.
I'm not sure. I'm just saying, $1,250 or $1,500, and if you're working, if you look at workforce development, I'm not really sure if that 40% could pay for that. So.
We don't consider those the workforce units. I'm sorry. Those are the ones that we consider to be more in line with what the majority of renters can afford to pay downtown for a luxury high-rise.
Okay.
You know, these are high-rise buildings, highly amenitized, pool, gym, all the experiences that the tenant wants these days. And we've also got the co-working or shared space downstairs. So this is going to be one of the nicest buildings in the city. Those 40% are really more what we consider to be in line with what the majority of tenants can afford. The workforce units would be significantly lower.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get
Yes.
at. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Mayor?
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Gallego had some questions, and I'll come back to you, Councilman Nowakowski.
Thank you. This project is in District 8, which I have the pleasure of representing, and I just wanted to thank the folks from CA Ventures for spending time out in the community, really listening to what people wanted, what community benefits. From my perspective, this building has a broader list of community benefits than we've seen in projects in the past, so I want to thank you. You really took the time to learn about we have a lot of plans in our downtown, but you took the time to learn about our goals for more transit-oriented development, even goals like our shade master plan to make it a more walkable community. And I'm glad we're looking at workforce housing. I have the pleasure of serving on the Downtown Phoenix Partnership Board, and thanks to Dan Clockey and others, we have some data about the full breadth of housing in our downtown area, and workforce was really the area where we had the most need, so appreciate you supporting and really looking at our goals, getting to know us. It was really valuable that you sat down before you had done design, before you had done construction, and listened. So I want to thank you, and I look forward to supporting the project.
Thank you very much. Councilman DeCiccio, I apologize. You wanted to say a few comments on this one?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just a quick question to staff. How much is the total giveaway over the period of time? You said about $5 million a year?
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, over the time, the difference in the benefit to the developer is approximately
No, not difference. What is the total tax that they would normally have paid? I'm sorry, Christine, I should have rephrased that.
I apologize, Councilman. Could you ask one more time? I didn't hear the beginning of your question.
What was the total tax that they would pay if we didn't give them a giveaway?
Oh, let me get that for you. Just one moment.
Thank you.
Councilman, the total tax, if we, without the GIPLET, is approximately $30 million.
Okay, so that's $30 million, and how much is that per year? Break it down.
Absolutely. So it is, Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, it's a little bit different on each year. The first building, staff is recommending 20 years on the GIPLET, since that is covering all of the infrastructure on the project and moving forward. And then on the other two buildings, recommending 8 years. So it's a little bit different on each year. I can't say that each year it's exactly what it is, but each building, so by year it is 20. It is about just under while it's going through the process, is about $2 million a year.
Okay, so basically, when you're talking about affordable housing and you're talking about workplace housing, a $30 million project kind of gets you a lot of housing. So this is a clear example of asking little and giving a lot, buy high, sell low philosophy. When I heard Councilman Valenzuela talk about how much we're getting out of this thing, out of a $30 million giveaway, all I could think was, OMG. That this is why the City of Phoenix has a screwed up financial problem, the City of Phoenix. is that you're giving away $30 million to get just a little bit of nuggets off of the table, a little bit of crumbs off the table. So I'm going to be voting no on this. This is an out-of-state developer that literally will come in and tell you to ask the developer if they need this. Of course they are going to tell you yes. When you're paying $2 to $3 million an acre for land, it's insane to be incentivizing anybody in this new market, in this economy, in this city of Phoenix downtown central area. It's insane to do that. I'm a no, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor. Thank you, Councilman DeCiccio. Councilman Valenzuela, please.
Councilman DeCiccio and I just disagree on how we would continue to build out downtown Phoenix and how we would move this city forward. This is an economic development tool. When he asked the question of what the, as he would put it, the giveaway is, I believe our economic development director was trying to give the full picture, but he only wanted half the picture. He wanted the cost. This is not a cost, this is an investment. This is a clear investment. We are going to change the Phoenix skyline. We are going to welcome more than 600 units. This is a luxury building, but 40% of those units are for workforce housing. Where are we going to find a partner? That's a great partner. We'll have an incubator, co-working space, which is, will add to the momentum that we have right here in downtown Phoenix. This will go along with all of the other assets that we have in downtown Phoenix with our Phoenix Convention Center that is award-winning, that the councilman probably would have voted no for. He probably did. If he was on the council, probably was. But when you think of the TGen building, you think of bringing ASU in downtown Phoenix, you think of Block 23 and the fact that we're finally getting a grocery store. You know, we created a strategic economic development fund, which was used to help attract Galvanize, as an example, a leader in tech and in innovation. And we could probably check the voting record, but Councilman DeCiccio probably voted no on all of those things. So what would downtown Phoenix look like if everyone followed that frame of thought? If everyone considered just the cost and never thought about the word investment and what investment really looks like and what it really takes to build a downtown in the 6th largest city in the country and to move our city forward. We have light rail running downtown, going west and north, and very soon, and I'm sure Councilwoman Gallego would agree, not soon enough, south. But those are policy decisions. Those are responsible policy decisions that move our community forward, that move this city forward. And this building is another element to that. We don't have that right now in downtown. We are the 6th largest city in the country, and it's going to be exciting to see how this building moves us forward and what will follow with exciting projects such as this. So I am supportive of this very important investment with this project, and I guess I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Mayor?
Thank you very much. Councilman DeCiccio, please.
Yeah, I would have voted against the Marriott, too, that lost about $150 million. Those same arguments that Councilman Valenzuela has been bringing up, and it cracks me up because it's a lack of financial ability to be able to understand where we need to go as a city. That is why we have a budget deficit of $46 to $53 million next year. The same language I've heard. You give away $30 million and think that we're going to get something in return for it, when in fact we're going to get crumbs. The only thing that I'm arguing for, and the only thing I'm asking for here, is that we stop giving these huge giveaways to these developers that have no investment in our community. When is the last time, if I can ask Christine McKay, we gave a small business owner the same kind of tax breaks that we're giving these large corporations? When's the last time we gave a small business owner, Christine, a tax break of this magnitude, or any type of tax break of a business owner that invested more than, let's say, $3 million in our economy?
All right, I don't know, Ms. Mackey, if you want to talk about
When's
some
the
of the
last
small
time we've
business
done that?
support
We
programs that
haven't.
we have here in the city of Phoenix.
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, On the small business side, we've not had an application come in for a GIPLET from a small business or from a small building. What we work on with them is, as we brought through at the last council meeting, was a $250,000 grant to help them with facade improvements, to fix their buildings, fix their landscaping, their parking lots, their signage, our adaptive reuse programs, and some of our other small business programs that we do, open application, and we do MTA grants that we actually give to these small businesses.
So we've had one applicant ask for $250,000. Did they get it?
Councilman, yes, at the last meeting, that was voted on and approved by this council.
And how big was that company?
That was, Councilman, that was for a small business, a 1,800-seat venue for a small business that would start on Grand Avenue for a music venue.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
so one
Van Buren.
small business owner received $250,000. One large company is now about to receive a government giveaway of $30 million. And my understanding is we're probably close to $450 million or more in tax abatements at the city of Phoenix. Is that correct?
I don't know, Mr. Blue or
Total value.
Amanda, I'm sorry. Would someone care to answer the councilman's question?
Life to date, I actually don't have the math in front of me, so I'm not prepared to respond.
It's over 400 million, don't you think? I mean, that's a very conservative number.
I'm not prepared to answer a question when I don't have the facts in front of me.
Okay. Bottom line is, these large companies, these large corporations are getting these major tax breaks in land that's worth probably $2 to $3 million per acre. There's no reason, absolutely no reason to give this tax giveaway. I heard these same debates with the Marriott. Heard it. Oh, we're going to make a big investment in the city. We need this. Well, it turns out that we need it so badly that it cost us $150 million of real money that could have gone to police officers. So this is the same logic I've heard before, the same failed policies of before that cost taxpayers money. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Other members of the city council. I would just point out that I will be supporting the motion and the proposed development agreement with Clark Street Holdings, and I think this city has used very good discretion when we've granted subsidies and not granted subsidies to get the density or other community benefit that is important to the people of the city of Phoenix, and we've turned some down. There was a vote for a subsidy for a 4-story apartment complex at 7th Avenue and Fillmore, and this council voted that down because it wasn't good, smart public policy to support a subsidy for a 4-story stick-built apartment complex at 7th Avenue and Fillmore. There was a recent request that we give a subsidy to a developer in Ahwatukee for $1 million plus of infrastructure that should have been borne by that developer, and this council very smartly turned that subsidy request down. So, council, I would just politely argue that this council has used good discretion in which we grant these development agreements. We do require, of course, that the developer do reach agreement with the school district so that there is no negative impact on the local school district. But it's really, if you look at the history, including Arizona Center, which did receive a subsidy, and they're off the books, and they're paying hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes and has provided huge community benefit. If you look at the recent Fry's that broke ground in downtown Phoenix, that real community value wouldn't have occurred but for the development agreement that was in place with the city of Phoenix. So I would argue that we've used good discretion in saying yes and good discretion in saying no to some of the subsidy proposals that have come before this council. Other council members? Councilman Nowakowski, please.
Mayor, first of all, I just want to thank the developer for taking the time. Last year, they came to our office, and after meeting with Councilmember Gallego that represents the other half of downtown, and we referred them to Evans Churchill and other community leaders to talk to them and actually find out what the needs and the wants are. And one of the things that they came back with is that they wanted more incubators. They wanted more space for artists to actually have galleries and all that. And that's one of the things that we were finding out, that down Roosevelt Row, there was a lack of art space. So that was one of the concerns they heard from the community. They came back to us and said, we're willing to give up 50% of our retail for those individuals and for incubators to help promote the arts community and the needs of the community. The 5% was something that they kept on hearing out there in the community that we needed more, workforce housing. But I do agree with Vice Mayor that we need to probably sit down and next time, I'm supportive of this project, but next time maybe we need to bring it to our subcommittee so we can give them some more guidance, because within the last year, everything we asked for, they figured it out, how to make it happen. Nobody really threw out that 15% or 10%, but if we would have threw that out early enough, I think they would have worked it out. So I think it's really important that we use our subcommittee as a way to communicate and to actually guide you all. So next time, maybe we can actually have it go through our subcommittee so we can actually iron out some of these concerns and not taking up so much of your time here at the council meeting.
Thank you very much. Councilman Gallego, do you have additional comments or questions?
Yeah, question for our Economic Development Director. My understanding is that Clark Street Holdings would be investing $170 million in the downtown community?
Mayor, Councilwoman Gallego, that's correct, $174 million.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, any additional comments or questions? Councilman Valenzuela, do you have something additional?
At this point, I'm ready to vote if you are, Mayor. If everyone else is.
Any other comments? Okay, roll call.
DeCiccio.
Mayor, again, it is insane to give money away when you're broke. My vote is no.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Williams. Pastor.
I plan on in the future to look at workforce housing and get to that benchmark where we need to get to. I will be supportive of this vote, yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yeah, so the item passes on a 7-2 vote before the city council. Next item on the agenda is item number 82. Is there a motion on item 82?
You want to do them together?
Sorry.
You want to do them
Yes,
together?
go ahead. Yes, sure. 82 and 83?
83? Do you have a motion on 82 and 83?
I'll make a motion to
I did.
approve
No.
both items.
We have a motion in favor of 82 and 83. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions by members of the council? Are there any cards in this item? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams. Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. 7-2 or 8-1? 7-1? Did we lose somebody?
Lost that.
Okay, 7-1, that item passes. Next item is item 86. That was both 82 and 83, so 86 is next.
Move approval of 86.
Oh, city clerk, read the title, then we'll make a motion, please.
Item 86, ordinance G6307, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to amend Phoenix City Code, Chapter 19, Article 1, Sections 19-1 and 19-3.01, to add a secondhand dealer licensing exemption for manufacturers of personal devices or providers of mobile services that offer in-store credit only for the return of wireless device.
Is there a motion on 86?
I move 86.
Guys, ask my
Councilman Waring, do you have a question?
So, not sure who I'd be asking. So Chief, basically this is just reducing a regulation? Is that a pithy summary? Is that just reducing a regulation?
Oh.
It's making an exemption for,
So they're covered now, and then you're taking them out?
yes.
Fair, okay. So really it's reducing the burden on a business owner, whatever.
That's correct.
Thank you, that's it.
Want me to move it? Roll call. Or-
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Stark. Valenzuela. Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. So that item, I believe, passed unanimously. Next item on the agenda is item number 90. Is there a motion on item number 90? Is
90.
there a second on 90?
Second.
With motion and second on 90, item number 90 is proposed recruitment, hiring of recruitment services for Assistant Aviation Director. Any cards on the item? Councilwoman Pastor, do you have comments on that item?
I do. Item 90, my understanding is this is for a recruitment service to assist us with the aviation, for the assistant search of the aviation director.
Vice Mayor Pastor, that's correct. We currently have 2 vacant assistant aviation directors, and this would assist with both positions.
My understanding also is that the purpose, the other reason why I'm looking at a recruitment services is due to the fact that our salaries are not as competitive as other salaries in other cities.
That would be part of what we would ask this consultant to do, would be to advise us about the competitiveness of our salaries in that classification, so they could give us some advice on that as well.
My third question is it possible, do we need 2 assistant aviation directors, or could we collapse it to 1 so that the one director would then have a very competitive package?
Mayor, Vice Mayor Pastor, we have in the past had 3 directors, and we have had 2 directors. I believe, and Mr. Bennett and Mr. Blue have advised, that really the scope and the magnitude of the 10th busiest airport in the United States, we need that help in 3 directors. We previously had some issues when we only had 2 assistant directors.
And so my train of thought is, if we want to hire quality, we need to hire quality with a competitive salary. And so if that's one way of getting to a competitive salary, we can condense.
That would be possible. I don't think in this case, in the magnitude of the operations of the aviation department, that we should collapse. I think we need to have a director and 3 assistant directors. And if the salary, if we get information that the salary is the issue, then I would come back to the city council with a request about that. But we need to get the information for you before we would be ready to make a recommendation on that. And this will help us get that information.
And I just want to be clear, this is not coming from the general fund. This is coming from the enterprise fund.
Vice Mayor, that's a great question. That is correct. This is paid for by Aviation Enterprise Fund, which is funded only by the users of the airport.
Okay, so then they're going to help recruit, and then what? Then what's next? And what
I'll ask
comes to
Mr. Blue and
us?
Mr. Bennett to talk about those next steps.
Vice Mayor, members of the council, the recruitment process is going to go through and identify the available talent that can be secured with the financial package that the city currently offers. And in doing that, we'll be salary surveying other comparable airports to understand what the competitive landscape is. And following their pursuit of prospective candidates, if there is a challenge in securing candidates at the compensation range that is currently available, we would come back and share with management those limitations, and then potentially with the city council. Vice Mayor, members of the council, the issue is not the availability of resources, it is the limitations in the pay plan for the position of Assistant Aviation Director. So we're going to be working through the market impacts of trying to compete for this talent nationally, and then we'll come back if we are not able to secure talent at the resource base that is currently available in the pay plan.
Okay. On this item, it says, develop a screening process that narrows the field of candidates to those most closely match the needs, are based on extensive reference checks and telephone interviews with top candidates. Who does that?
Mayor, to members of the council, the initial screening of the applicants will be done by the search firm in consultation with myself. I would be the hiring authority. Then after we've gone through the initial screening of the candidates, then they would recommend a pool of qualified candidates to come in for panel interviews with an initial round of panel members. And I do not serve on the initial panel. But then following the initial panel interviews, then the most successful candidates would then be referred to a second tier panel that I would serve on, along with a couple of other outside executives that would advise on the most qualified individual.
On the initial panels, who serves on that initial panels? What is the makeup, or how does that look like?
So I'll use the recruitment of the Aviation Services Director as the example. So it involved outside aviation experts. It involved inside executives from the city and community members. And we actually had two separate panels that we went through. One from those who were very much focused on the business of the airport, and then those that were in the community that are focused on how the airport needs to be a part of the fabric of the community that we work in, and in both cases, the panels could pursue the specific questions, concerns, and issues that they had from the perspective that they brought to the panel. So there were two panels that probably had a total of, I think I'm correct, about 8 to 9 people total, 3 on the business and about, I think it was 5 or 6 on the community.
And then eventually, did these two panels merge and give a recommendation on the first initial panel? Or what if one panel had 2 different candidates, and then the outside aviation one or the inside aviation one had 2 different candidates? Do these panels ever merge to then pull forward the candidates for the second tier?
Members of the council, Vice Mayor, we haven't designed this precisely. Right now, we're just trying to figure out if there's a pool. But to your point, again, I'll speak to what we just most recently did.
That's what I'm asking.
We had 2 panels, and Ed and I sat with each of the panels to hear what their recommendations were, and then we developed a finalist based on the merging of the 2, and both panels were very consistent in what they recommended forward.
Has anyone, I guess where I'm also getting at is, can we recommend people that could sit on these panels?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, yes, I'd take recommendations from council members.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments by members of the City Council? All right, so we have a motion in favor of item number 90. We have a second. Roll call.
Gallego.
Yes.
Noakowski. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams. Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, so that passed 7-1. Next item on the agenda is item number 91. Item number 91 is a proposed South Central Transit Oriented Development Grant, RFP. I'll first turn to Councilwoman Gallego to see if a motion on item number 91, see if there's a second, and then there's some cards here to provide testimony before the City Council.
This is a long time coming. 2 great motions today on South Central Light Rail. I'm excited to move approval.
We have a motion. We have a second. Okay. Now we'll turn to members of the public who are here to provide testimony on this item. How about Benjamin Tijen in favor of the proposal? Did you provide testimony? Great to see you. Followed by Luke Black.
Thank you, Council, for the opportunity. Benjamin Tijen, local attorney, 10-year resident of South Phoenix, board member of Paideia Academies, founding member and board member of KDIF 102.9, South Phoenix's community-run, community-oriented radio station. Just obtained our FCC license in February. We are launching all community-oriented programming, primarily to provide a mass media platform that's accessible by our residents and enables them, the residents and the local businesses, to shine a light on the actual efforts and the effects historically and currently of the activities of this city's institutions on the communities of South Phoenix and Central City South. We're a new but timely tool, one for self-advocacy of the residents for their interests or in promotion of their interests toward equitable transit-oriented development in their communities. I thank the other residents of South Phoenix that are here today to provide comment. I wanted to note personally and on behalf of the radio station some irony in the City Council's report on these matters today, touting the FONSI, the finding of no significant impact environmentally of these projects on South Phoenix. The irony, I think, is that this is a major accomplishment of the city and of the project, not particularly noteworthy to them, though, is the massive environmental damage that the city has caused on South Phoenix historically, and the redress that has cost the taxpayers of this city millions of dollars over the course of the last couple of decades. I urge the city and Valley Metro and the institutions that are involved in this project to work proactively and authentically with the residents and continue to equitably develop that area. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Mayor, I have a question.
Tijan. Councilman Nowakowski has a question for Mr. Tijan.
What were the call letters again? I'm sorry. Your call letters?
Call letters KDIF 102.9, low power FM.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Also in favor, not wishing to speak, is Martha Valenzuela from Liberty Tax Service. Thank you for providing your input. How about, let's see, Raquel Palapoli?
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you. My name is Rachel Palapoli, and I'm one of the owners of Planet Recycling. It's a family-owned and operated recycling and dumpster company located at 1600 South Central Avenue. We have one city square block from Mojave to Cocopah and Central to First Avenue. We have been down in South Phoenix now for the last 18 years. I wanted to let all of you know that we've participated in a few of the public meetings held by Valley Metro, and although we would have preferred the light rail extension to go down 7th Street or 7th Avenue only for very pure selfish reasons, we do understand the decision on why it is going down Central. We would like to commend Valley Metro for hearing our concern as far as where the stops are going to be down Central. We also wanted to commend the team of Valley Metro and the City of Phoenix for their commitment efforts. Just last week, we were visited by a team of 4 that came out and walked the property with us. They actually were truly intrigued by what we do, and they listened to our concerns, and they assured us that their goal is to make this as smooth of a transition as possible. As we happen to run a fleet of 10 trucks between roll-offs and semis, we encourage the detailed traffic study, as we're all concerned for the safety of both of our trucks, our employees, and the citizens in the area. All we are asking is for the continued support from Valley Metro and the city so that our business can continue to grow in South Phoenix while keeping all of us safe. I would ask that the council approve the request for the development grant. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I have a question real quick.
Councilman Nowakowski, please.
Was this
Yes.
the first time you had a site visit from the city staff?
Yes, and it's not for lack of effort. They have contacted us. I've been in constant email communication with Valley Metro over, this has been going on for a couple of years now.
Right.
So look, I tell a story all the time, and that story is I actually live up in Cave Creek, where there was a Walmart that was going to go in, and I fought it tooth and nail. I did not want the Walmart in my backyard. And once I realized that it was coming, I shop there almost every other day. So I'm not trying to tell you that I will ride the light rail, as I don't necessarily need to, but at that same standpoint, once I embraced the idea that it was coming and I understood why, now it's a question of let's all work together to make sure that the transition is as smooth as it can be.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. How about Luke Black? You want to provide testimony, and then followed by, I believe it's Pevri Ilam.
Thank you, Council, for the opportunity to talk. My name is Luke. I am a member of a resident of District 8. I'm also a member of a group of residents from South Phoenix who are working together to build the community from the inside out. I'm here to speak mostly on 91, but by default, it will also carry over to 94. I presented as neutral on this issue. The group that I work with of community members, we recognize that the light rail and its arrival in South Phoenix brings a lot of opportunities to South Phoenix, but it also comes with a lot of challenges. The city's reputation, honestly, is on the line. It's an area of the city that needs that development, but the city needs to do that in a way that engages residents. There's also millions of dollars on the line, both in the development of this project, both in the design of this project, and then in the development that will follow. If the earlier testimony regarding the development of towers in downtown was any indication, there will be millions of dollars at stake once that light rail is in place. The city has the opportunity to do the right thing in this neighborhood, and that is important given how the city has continually been on the wrong side of history in South Phoenix. There is a lot of language in the RFP that is very, very encouraging about the city's intentions to engage residents. And I wanted to speak on record and let the council know that there are groups in South Phoenix that do intend to hold this council's feet to the fire in being accountable for the language that they have written into the RFP. There are also significant opportunities in this RFP to shape what the zoning process will look like. And if the city chooses to engage residents in a way that is equitable, that it opens the space for them, there are a lot of opportunities that the city can really gain from the residents.
Thank you.
Those opportunities will require authentic engagement. And so I want to close by reiterating that the city has an obligation in this RFP to engage residents. And residents are watching. They are aware of the opportunity. They are aware of the challenges as well, and they will hold this council accountable for what happens with this light rail. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your testimony. How about Pevri Elam?
It's
Perry,
Perry
I
Elam. I'm
apologize.
over here.
Perry?
My name is Perry Elam. I'm with Black Wall Street, Arizona. I'm in Councilman Gallo's district, and I do a lot of work in Councilman Pastor's district. I'm for the light rail. One of the things I'm with the light rail is that I represent almost 60 small businesses. We run a small business incubator on 16th Street, south of Southern. We've got about 60 businesses, and quite a few of them are in construction. A lot of them also feel that this new project that's coming in, the light rail, will afford some opportunities for those individuals to start moving their businesses forward. In history of Phoenix has been nil to none as far as inclusive of those community people who have those businesses. My main point is this. They asked me to come here today to represent their voice, their concerns, that any project that comes into South Phoenix be inclusive and not exclusive of those small businesses in which we have developed and have nourished and have let them grow. And I'm asking Councilor Gallegos to please come to the business incubator on 16th Street in Southern, talk to some of the business people, get their concerns, understand their plight, understand their desires to work with the city and not against the city. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thanks for coming down. I want to check out that incubator too. I want to check. That sounds cool. Yeah.
We will look forward to visiting. Thank you for the invitation.
How about Michael Ingram? Do you provide testimony for this council? And then is Mr. Ingram here? Okay. He was neutral on the item. How about Richard Cruz? And then followed by Joseph Larios.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for this particular space. My name is Richard Cruz. I'm the convener of Cultivate South Phoenix, a coalition that is working to create a healthier South Phoenix with one of the things that we're doing is we have a 18-acre food hub on 10th Avenue and a vineyard. Several of you have been there, and we thank you for that. The reason that I'm here today, though, is to talk about this piece around equitable, transit-oriented development and really understanding this first word when it comes to equity and understanding when we're talking about equity, is it equity for who? Because as it's been mentioned, there's a history of things being done to South Phoenix, not with South Phoenix, under the guise of it being for South Phoenix. And so with this, we have a very unique opportunity that doesn't always come up, for engagement to not just be something that checks off the box, for engagement to not just be a series of town halls that people have to go to in terms of we're saying we're coming into your community, but you have to come to our table. As opposed to really doing that in the other way. And so understanding that that the real experts in this particular conversation are the locals, that no one can tell you what's going on in South Phoenix better than those that are in South Phoenix. And so if not, what we run the risk of is something that's happening in so many other cities with a word that scares a lot of people when it comes to displacement, right? Where we do something great for South Phoenix, but we do something great for South Phoenix that doesn't live there now, right? We do something great for South Phoenix that pushes the problems that people may perceive as problems in South Phoenix to other spaces, as opposed to really taking this opportunity to develop and create real community. So again, I would just really encourage authentic, real engagement that is rooted with locals, and not just something that becomes a problem for those that are there now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your testimony. Joseph Larios, followed by Isabel Garcia.
Mayor, members of council, my name is Joseph Larios. I live in South Phoenix, born and raised, and represent an organization called Remain, Reclaim, Reimagine, which is all about preventing displacement along light rail. As we look at this decision, and you are going through a review process of who will hold the work of the next 2 years of this phase, I think it's important to be reminded of the legacy that this body is a part of. It's a legacy that my parents taught me, coming from Golden Gate and being displaced from a thriving community in the name of economic development without very little regard. It's a legacy that reminds me of family that was on Roosevelt Row, far before it was ever an arts district, that was painted as nothing more than criminal, as nothing more than a criminal element, and most certainly not valuable, and most certainly not at the same type of value that, you know, rent of $1,200 that is currently going up as accessible and affordable is deemed. This is a legacy that is just part of the makeup of South Phoenix. Again, we're talking about Roosevelt Row. This is where Center for Neighborhood Leadership, an organization I founded that's off of 3rd Avenue, and McKinley will not be there next year because we won't be able to afford to stay there. This is the type of legacy of gentrification and displacement that this city is a part of and continues to be a part of. The word criminal was used quite a bit today. From a South Phoenix resident where 85040, 85042, the places I grew up, where you have some of the highest rate of incarcerations in the entire country, where you have 85% recidivism rate. These are people, and the word criminal is just used to diminish their humanity, and it is, again, part of that legacy that this city has been a part of, stigmatizing South Phoenix, which has fundamentally precluded it from any kind of investment. This is the legacy that you're a part of, and as you review who's going to hold the engagement process over the next 2 years, I hope that you're going to really acknowledge that type of sentiment that has been placed on this community, that the level of engagement that has happened thus far, we're 3 years, almost 4 years now into this process, the level of engagement that has happened thus far really should serve as to what not to do. And that is not something I see present here, and it is something that worries me. It is something, and this is the reason why I've put on the card neutral, because right now I'm not seeing, and I don't have a lot of faith right now based off of just action, that this body really understands the systemic outcome of displacement, and the engagement process is gonna be key to that. And so in closing, I wanna make sure that we acknowledge the legacy that this body is a part of, acknowledge that displacement has been a reoccurring outcome of development that this city has gone through, and that engagement is an authentic engagement in ways that we have not figured out expertise on is what we need to be invested in as we look through the next 2 years of engagement. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mr. Larios. How about Isabel Garcia? Your testimony, please.
Hello, my name is Isabel Garcia. I am a constituent of District 7. So I was born and raised in South Phoenix. I was educated there. I went to the Roosevelt School District. I went to the Phoenix Union High School District, and now I work there as a social worker. I am looking forward to the light rail coming into South Phoenix. I think it's going to provide and open a lot of opportunities for residents through more accessible transportation that's currently not available in South Phoenix. However, I'm also concerned about the challenges that it will bring, including forcing people out of their homes and their businesses, and also that it may not be equitable and that certain groups will benefit more than others from this light rail development into South Phoenix. And so, as my other fellow residents have mentioned already, it is very crucial that South Phoenix residents be involved and included in this process of planning and designing the light rail into South Phoenix. Residents, we are the experts of our community. We understand the needs, the strengths, and the diversity that exists in South Phoenix neighborhoods. Our expertise will be crucial and essential in the success of light rail into South Phoenix. And so I reiterate and support what everyone else has been saying about ensuring that South Phoenix residents are engaged and included in the conversation and in decision-making in a very serious and meaningful way. So thank you.
Thanks so very much for your testimony. Cards submitted but not wishing to speak. Raflad Williams, neutral, I apologize. Mr. Williams? How about P. Ropat, in favor, and Patrick Brennan, good to see you, also in favor. Is anyone here wishing to speak on item number 91? Okay, we have a motion in favor of 91. We have a second. Any additional comments or questions by members of this council? Councilman Nowakowski, please.
Mayor, first of all, I want to make sure that everybody knows that I support the project, but I'm very upset about the whole outreach process. During the holidays, I was getting several calls from individuals saying that they were upset and angry that they didn't understand that we were going to narrow down the street from 2 lanes to 1 lane each way. And so I sent out a letter to all the stakeholders within District 7. And to my amazement, we had over 50 people to that meeting. Half of those individuals said that they were never contacted or never met on site with our city staff. And we've been working at this for over 2 years. We have a lot of mom and pop businesses that have been there for over 50 years, individuals that were crying and upset because they thought that their life savings was going down the drain, and some concerns that we had. So we basically, instead of having each person stand up there for 15, 20 minutes, we had each person give 2 examples of our concerns, and we wrote down a list, and then we were going to have a follow-up meeting. And that meeting actually didn't turn out that positive neither. It turned out to be kind of even worse than what I thought. I thought that meeting was going to be a meeting where we explained those different concerns, but we went back into explaining the importance of light rail, and it was sort of like a song and dance that was happening within the last 2 years. So my concern is that if we're going to go out there and look for an RFP, that we look for individuals that are real community partners, individuals that understand the culture, the nature, the businesses of South Phoenix. And I just want to make sure that my office, at least District 7, that we get a monthly report of what the heck's going on. Because it's a shame, it's shameful. For the last, and I want to give thanks to Mario and some of our city staff for going out there, and we've been meeting with some of those individuals that had concerns, and they were just little easy things that we were able to work out. Some were major, putting in some streets, but there was some simple things that I didn't even know that the city did. I mean, we put in a beautiful sidewalk, but in the middle of the driveway, we ended up putting a fire hydrant where trucks couldn't really come in and out of that business anymore. So now we're going to move that fire hydrant, and we fixed that problem. And it's just simple things, just communication. And that's where I can feel the frustration, and I understand the frustration. Being a council member, I'm frustrated. But I believe that going through this process and hiring the right team, and it needs to be a team of individuals, not people that are outsiders, but individuals that live in South Phoenix that understand the issues, the cultural needs of that community, and that reaches out to every single member of that community. And I really highly recommend that we continue to meet with those businesses and we just have those communications, because basically it's just talking things happen in a positive way. I believe that those businesses aren't anti-light rail. They're just concerned about the future of their own businesses there. So with that, I'll be supportive, and I'm not sure if any of my other colleagues have some concerns. And I know that Laura and I were talking about maybe that $100,000 is just not enough money to actually do the work that we need to do. So I'll pass it on to the Vice Mayor if she has anything.
All right, any, Councilman, Vice Mayor, anyone else? Vice Mayor, please, you have any comments or questions?
Well, I'm glad that those that are from the area and want to take active part in the changes that are happening and moving forward. Change is happening. We are moving forward. We need it. Our residents need it. But it's all about how we go about doing it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell a little story. Those that are natives will understand this story. Golden Gate, Golden Gardens, St. John's, Green Valley, Cuatro Mipas, El Campito. Those that know those areas know exactly what happened to those areas. Under my legacy and under me being a part of the City Council, I will do my hardest and my best for that not to happen once South Central Light Rail goes in. What that means is those neighborhoods were decimated. Those barrios were decimated. They were very vibrant. I have a great concern that we continue to support our mom and pop businesses. We support the artists in those areas. We support those that have given to South Phoenix the years and years that they've been there, and they deserve that. Is change going to happen? Yes. But we are going to do our darndest, and I'm hoping my council colleagues will make sure that we do our best to preserve what we have and what we can have in the future and what that looks like. I would say sometimes we try to do our best and it doesn't end up happening the way we want to, because sometimes many of us know we have a plan and the plan doesn't end that way. We have bumps in the road. And I would agree with you, Joe, that sometimes government has a systematic outcome. There is a systematic outcome. I'm not sure if they necessarily want it to happen that way, but it happens. And I believe the people that are sitting at this dais are very cognizant of those histories and that legacy that the city of Phoenix has given. I'm telling you that my legacy will be building up the city of Phoenix. My legacy will be of helping South Phoenix grow and become vibrant. Not that it's not vibrant, but more vibrant and thrive in a way that people never thought they could thrive. That freeway, that bridge that separates the north and the south, this will now connect us to the north and the south. So I see great vibrancy, and I also see struggles, but that's okay to struggle because that's what life's all about. We all struggle in our daily life. What I do, and I'm going to ask and recommend, is that I don't think $100,000 going to support local business in the corridor in preparation for the future light rail is enough. So my question to you is, how much did we invest on Central? How much did we invest on 19 North? And I want to know the investments as the segments went.
All right, we compare the, I guess the business plan for other segments of the existing light rail versus what's proposed for the South Phoenix extension?
So Mayor, I would just, Mario and Albert will have more of the detail. I just wanted to say, we have heard the concerns of council members, and I would also point out, though, that the council has invested more earlier in terms of effort into the South Central line than in our other lines. This is not the end or even the middle. This is really the beginning, and it's starting earlier, and we never had a grant like this one for either of the other lines. I'm not sure that 100,000 is the only amount here. I think there's more. The 100,000 is a match coming from community members that they can explain, but we are going to double our efforts in outreach, but we are going at this earlier than we ever have in any of our other lines. But Mario and Albert may have the specific numbers.
All right, do you have the opportunity to explain, compare community outreach on this project, including the business plan versus other lines? Albert, sadly, you lived it. You breathed it.
Mayor and members of the council, I just want to clarify on this particular grant, the city manager is exactly right. This is much sooner than we've ever done this kind of work before on a light rail project, and this grant provides us the opportunity to get this going much earlier with getting those resources out there very quickly and effectively. So the one thing about this grant is it's multifaceted. The equitable transit-oriented development component includes very specific tasks that have to be done as part of this grant. And they are along the lines exactly what we've been talking about, of reaching out to the community, engaging the community in land use planning along that line. The other tasks are very focused on business assistance. So both of those components are included in the work of this grant. And so the grant was $2 million from the Federal Transit Administration. The City of Phoenix match amount for that grant is $400,000. On top of that are these contributions from two nonprofit agencies, LISC and Rasa Development Fund, at $50,000 each. So they're contributing a total of $100,000 to go along with that work. So that $100,000 is being set aside specifically for the business assistance component. But there is specific work within the grant itself that will be a portion of that $2.4 million that's focused on the business assistance, doing inventory and assessments and business assistance plan and working on implementation of the items that come out of that with all of the businesses that are in that corridor. This is in addition to what's going to be available and what was made available for the other, similar to what was provided in the other light rail extension projects for business assistance that comes from a combination of the City of Phoenix and Valley Metro. And Albert can speak more specifically to what those resources were for those projects.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Ed, Mayor, members of the council. To talk about, to begin with, our business assistance plans that we did on the first 20 miles, of which 13 of those miles were in the City of Phoenix, as well as the recent 3 miles we had on Northwest Extension. For the first 13 miles in Phoenix, we had allocated about $2 million for business assistance to assist businesses along a 13-mile stretch. And then for the 3-mile Northwest Extension, we had allocated $600,000. And again, that was money specifically from the City of Phoenix to implement a business assistance program that led right towards the beginning of construction through the duration of construction. As Mr. Zucker mentioned, that this type of a grant was not something that we had for the other 2 corridors, and why that is important is that this grant will afford us an opportunity to begin over 2 years before construction starts. And how is that important? It's going to allow us a chance to sit down with the businesses, ask them what their needs are, assess their concerns, what resources do they have, and then we can build a business assistance program between the City of Phoenix and Valley Metro that truly meets their needs. On the other corridors, we came in with a very diverse, comprehensive program that did meet lots of needs, but it was something that businesses had to select from, which did by and large work a lot and was very effective for the other projects. But this grant is something that goes above and beyond, rightfully so, any other corridor that we've had, honestly, not only in Phoenix, but in any part where light rail is served.
Advisor?
So I think that's great. I think the first 13 miles, that was our first time. Nobody ever thought of it. We also suffered, businesses suffered the 13 miles, and we lost businesses. The next 3 miles, we learned. It looks like it's with 600,000 that went into business assistance. Once again, we learned from that we needed to start sooner than later. The south corridor is a little different than the north corridor because there's more mom and pop stores and there's more businesses and there's less, right away and all these things that go along in building a light rail. So I also think the reason why it's happening more up front than now is because you've heard constituents and you also heard council members up here saying, we don't want this to happen. I don't think 100,000 is enough for the next 2 years because you don't know what you're going to encounter. My question is, in this financial impact, you had stated that in this 2.4 million, that there is going to, items were going to go to economic impact or business plans and items like that. I would like to know from this 2.4 million, how much is going to go to that?
Members of the council, Vice Mayor, the grant is set up to do, like I said, to do both of those functions, includes both components of the TOD work as well as the business assistance work, and both of those, as we know, are very important. We anticipate that the funding would be split about 50-50, but until we see actual proposals, we can't be sure exactly how that will be divided. We would very much like to see that more of the resources go toward the business assistance, so that it's at least 50% of that 2.4 million. And as to the 100,000, we agree 100% that that's not going to be enough, and so we intend to bring back to the council recommendations for additional resources for business assistance program from the City of Phoenix, as we have on past projects, in addition to what we're looking at here with this grant.
I guess I'm asking, and I'll ask again, and I'll probably keep asking. I would like to know what the total amount will go to business assistance, other than the 100,000.
We're expecting from the work of this grant, about 1.2 million plus the 100,000.
The 1.2 million will be going to business assistance, plus the 100?
That's correct. That's what we're expecting through the work of this grant, in addition to additional resources that will be proposed at a later date.
And when you say additional resources, where would that come from?
Vice Mayor, those are the resources that we've been talking about, the resources that the City of Phoenix has allocated, similar to what we've done with the other projects. That would come from Transportation T2050 funds, as well as, which, as I mentioned, Valley Metro also allocates resources to do business assistance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Councilman Gallego, do you have a comment or question? I should note that Councilman Stark had to leave because there is a budget hearing in, I think that 2 and 3 are sharing tonight. So I guess Councilman Stark has the first part and you'll cover the second part, Councilman Waring?
I had to stick around to vote no on a couple things too. But yes, but my staff is there and they show video first.
All right, good. That's why City Manager had to leave as well, is because there's an important city budget hearing up in the north part of the city and traffic and all that. All right, Councilman Gallego.
So this vote on the $2.4 million grant, there was is an exciting opportunity, and I want to thank a lot of the people who helped us get this grant. We had an amazing show of support from nonprofit community leaders, folks from Friendly House, the Black Chamber, Phoenix Revitalization Corporation, who went to DC and advocated for the in front of the Federal Transportation Administration for this project. They've been great partners in getting us here today. As our Deputy City Manager mentioned, we've not gotten a grant like this before, and it really was the community's support that helped get us there. So we had some of my constituents talk about holding our feet to the fire. Duly noted, but you are not the only ones holding our feet to the fire. At the federal level, my understanding is that former Secretary of Transportation Fox is still talking about the South Central project As an example of something that his administration was proud of, it was the only project west of the Mississippi selected for the Ladders of Opportunity program because of the administration's belief that it would be lift up people who are in the community here today. And we have gotten great support from the secretary and his administration. Some of the people from the administration who have gone into the nonprofit sector keep calling. So we have folks who went into the National Resource Defense Council who are still watching what we do on this particular project. People at the Ford Foundation who have been trying to educate us on the elected official level about equitable transit-oriented development, have been partners where we haven't had that before. So we do not have a perfect record by any means, but there are a lot of things happening on this project that we have never done before that gives me great hope for us getting things right. This project will bring a lot of much-needed economic development that the people who are here today want, and I want to thank the folks from Promise Arizona and others who went door to door asking people what they want. It was a lot of community involvement that led to this project getting here today, and also the strong support when Proposition 104 was before the voters. The people along the extension supported it because I hope they believe it will deliver for them, for the people who are already in the community. I want to thank Mayor Stanton for his leadership when Maricopa County did not include this extension in Prop 400. The mayor and other elected officials said, absolutely, we want to make sure that the area south of downtown gets its fair share of funding, aided by a great planning grant from Congressman Pastor, who also wanted to make sure we got our fair share of funding. So there are a lot of people who got us here today who are watching us, a lot of people holding our feet to the fire to make sure we do this right, but also a lot of residents who are very excited about the potential. And it's not just this planning grant. There's nonprofits that have said they want to be involved. I just had a great meeting with a nonprofit who wants to do a home ownership program to help people who live in the community today who are renters buy so that they can stay and flourish and benefit from the extension coming. At subcommittee, we heard from several business owners who thought their business would benefit by the new customers coming in along the way, including a dance studio, which I think we might have to have dancing at the groundbreaking, another first for us on light rail. It's been really exciting for me to hear from all of these folks, and I want to thank the people in the community who have put their time in for years and years to make sure that we do get our fair share of investments. We have a lot of work to do to support the businesses, to make sure we get the details right, but we have an engineering team that Valley Metro selected, and thank you to Councilwoman Williams for her leadership, that's made up of engineers who live in the community with an outreach team led by people who live in District 8. That means a lot. They're people who are familiar with the local flavor, and so if the next item 94 passes, then we can move forward with really getting that engineering going and meeting with the businesses, meeting with the people along the way to see where can we put the stops that are best for economic development, for residents, for traffic. Exciting time for, I think, today, and I'm really looking forward to supporting this motion and item 94.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure to whom you were referring, Councilman Gallego, but I will not be dancing at the groundbreaking. I'm not sure who you're suggesting would be going to be dancing. I just want to make sure it's clear. All right,
Do we think
Councilman
the mayor should dance?
No, nobody wants to see that. Yeah, let's be clear, no. All right, Councilman Nowakowski.
I don't know about dancing, Mayor, but now after the RFPs, the two finalists or whatever, are they coming back to the council for final approval, or how does that work out?
What happens next? If we vote yes on this, what happens next?
Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, yes, we would bring back the award, the selected proposer for council approval.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments by members of the council? Vice Mayor, any other comments? Councilman Waring?
I had a question from I guess not my constituent, but a member of the Transportation Board. So he wondered, and I think he's watching because he emailed me earlier, but we had talked before. I think he's also, hopefully by now, been in touch with police. Is it possible to use Prop 104 money to hire police officers apart from the $14 million? That was his question if I boiled it down, so.
Mayor, Councilman Waring, the portion of the funds for Prop 104 is definitely devoted to transit security, and that includes police officers on transit enforcement unit. And so, yes, I guess that would be the general answer to that question is yes, for specific transit security purposes.
So above and beyond what was specifically authorized? I think that's what he was getting at.
Authorized for, I'm not exactly sure about.
In the
what
vote,
that
right, we authorized the hiring of money for police officers.
16
In Prop
million, right?
104.
Oh,
I see.
Yes.
I understand what you're
Yes.
saying.
That is accurate, yeah.
Okay.
That's above and beyond that, 16 million.
So I would ask, again, his name's Roy Miller, I think you guys know him because he's on the, so if maybe we could sit down and talk about it just so he can flesh out the answer a little more. I did talk to him earlier today. I just want to make sure he gets a complete answer, perhaps in light of the budget hearing and so forth I've got tonight. Maybe now is the time. But Roy, if you're listening, because I know you were earlier, perhaps we can sit down and chat about that.
Yes,
And how
we'd
that
be
would
glad
be
to
accomplished.
have further conversations with him about that.
I appreciate it, thank you.
so I think the answer is yes.
As long as it's down the South Phoenix line, absolutely.
The answer is yes. Yeah.
All right, there may not be unanimity on that, so let's not add that to the motion. That is not included in the motion. All right, any other comments by members of this council before we vote on 91? Obviously, we have to get to 94 as well. There's a few cards on that. Okay, there's a motion in favor of 91. There is a second. Roll call. Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton. Yes. So that motion passes 7-1 before this city council. Next item is item number 94. It's a very closely related item. Item number 94.
Move approval.
Second.
We have the motion on 94 and a second. 94 is the funding for the South Central Extension funding agreement. So the motion and a second. There are numerous cards on this item. Many of them are the same speakers from the previous item. Let's start with Ms. Barker. Is she still here? Did she have to leave? Okay, Ms. Barker's comment was, why fund $50 million study when a better design can be had? Is Perry still here? Perry Lino, the gentleman who spoke on behalf of the incubator and the 60 businesses there. He was in favor. Johnny Hernandez, you're in favor. Did you wish to speak? Please come forward. Jeff Sherman in favor. Okay, please, so you'll be next, so please come forward and sit in the reserve section. Mr. Hernandez, good to see you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. My name is Johnny Hernandez. I'm a lifelong resident of South Phoenix, and I'm here to encourage you to vote in favor of helping move marginalized people off of the margins, give them access to better jobs, and something that we've been waiting for a long time, to, as other council members have stated, to connect us to the rest of the city. And that will help us. I've had to ride a bike at 11 o'clock at night to a job at 3 o'clock in the morning because the bus didn't run. So this is I'm the people you're gonna be helping. Citizens who need the help. I'm here to speak for them. And I just want to urge you to vote yes. And thank you very much
Thank you
for
for
your
taking
time.
time to come down. That was great testimony. Appreciate it. How about Mr. Sherman, followed by, is Bobby Wade here?
Mayor and Council, I just want to show my support for funding the continued development of South Central Light Rail. Is one of the key reasons I did vote for T2050. I'm guessing it's one of the key reasons many in District 7 and 8 voted for that proposal. Anyone that knows me knows that I am going to always advocate for a design that is pedestrian safe, bicycle friendly, and really oriented to the transit rider. Some of the preliminary designs that I've seen do address a lot of the issues in keeping pedestrians safe, making the line accessible for both pedestrians, bicycle riders, and hopefully integrating a lot of the community into that design. So I support and I thank you.
Thank you very much. How about Bobby Wade?
Mr. Mayor, council members, thanks for having me. I'm Bobby Wade. We own a business in South Mountain Plaza right on the northeast corner of Baseline and Central, so this Light Rail project will directly affect our business. Me and my wife, it's a dance and fitness studio. We service to the youth in our community as well as parents at the same time. I'm just here in support of the light rail and hoping that we can move forward in getting this done and start it quickly. One of the main points, I know there's been some issues and some concerns about moving from 2 lanes to 1 lane, especially from, I believe it's other business owners, but I'm here to advocate for going to 1 lane, and this is the reason. Many people drive through South Phoenix, not paying much attention to what's there, not understanding the resources, the businesses that are there. And, you know, it's a lot of just pass-through traffic trying to get off the I-17 because of, you know, being backed up, or if, you know, you're not from the area. A lot of people see that as a way to go. Slowing that down to 1 lane going both ways, I think definitely makes it more friendly to the residents that are there, more friendly to the kids to be able to get out and move around, as well as letting people stop to pick their head up and pay attention to what's in South Phoenix and seeing the businesses that are there now and the businesses that are interested in coming there. So I'm all in favor of that, and I appreciate the platform to speak. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Now, Bobby, did you grow up in Ahwatukee?
I did. I went to Desert Vista High School.
Desert Vista, U of A, Chicago Bears.
U of A, Chicago Bears, yes.
All right, so he was a great wide receiver for the U of A, so I don't want all the Sun Devils on this panel. Don't hold that against him in his testimony.
Yes, sir. And I'm still all part of Phoenix and South
Mr.
Phoenix.
That's right. Mr. Wade, thank you for doing that. You had a great NFL career. We're all very proud of you. But you and your wife could pick any place to have your business, and you're doing it right here in Phoenix and South Phoenix, and thank you for doing that.
Yeah, we love being a part of South Phoenix. We love the community there. I also have a nonprofit, a youth football organization, just a little further west in Levine. So, you know, we service about 350 kids every year, and we just love it. So
that's great. Great to see you. Thanks.
And you picked the right district, too. All right.
All right, how about John? John Levisi? Are you still here? He was in favor of the proposal. Mac Gleckel? Mac from Lane Awards, also in favor. Victor Vidalis, you wish to provide testimony? Of course. And then Petra Falcone, as you should. Petra, do you want to provide testimony on this? Followed by Patrick Brennan. Victor, good to see you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. First, I want to thank you guys for expediting this opportunity and bringing light rail to South Central 11 years earlier than what was proposed. Being a small business owner at 6427 South Central has not been easy over the past 14 years. You know, we've dealt with a lot of issues, including our ACs being stolen, our offices being broken into, and just a number of other vandalism that had occurred in South Phoenix. But it's changed, and it's changed a lot over the past decade. And we believe that this light rail investment will continue to catalyze that change, but it's not enough. We think that Prop 2050, that money that was voted upon with Prop 104, is really important, that we continue to look at the area between the sevens, not just South Central, so that we really create a connected, walkable urban environment. We don't just focus on South Central, but we look at how that whole area between the sevens is integrated and how it can benefit from the investment coming in light rail. So as a business owner, I also support the 1 lane configuration. I served on the committee for 5 years. We've taken tours out to Mesa and seen the beautiful investment that they've made and how 1 lane has really worked for their area to become this lower downtown. We're looking at models like Lodo in Denver and Sodo in Seattle to really help bring that connection from downtown Phoenix to South Central, so that SoFo or South Phoenix can have that same type of walkable urban code, that walkable urban environment that's pedestrian-oriented, transportation-oriented, and will help small businesses like ours, help our kids that go to school on South Central, help our parishioners that worship at St. Catherine's on Central to have a really walkable urban environment. So thank you for your support of the light rail.
Thanks so much, Victor Vidalis. We wouldn't have come this far without your leadership. Petra Falcone, good to see you.
Well, again, good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I'll be wearing 2 hats for the next few minutes. Executive Director of Promise, Arizona, and of course, I am a longtime resident of South Phoenix. I came to that community in 1975, and in fact, I live right now just a block away from that small, first humble home in 1975, and have raised my 5 children, and I have 6 wonderful grandchildren. And I mention them because St. Catherine's is my parish, and it's been my parish since 1975, and I've been married there, baptized my children there, and my oldest grandson, who is 18 years old and a Wildcat, has been baptized there. So, but the issue is, of course, moving forward. It's a very important and historic project for the South Phoenix community. Not only light rail, but increased bus service. And in 2014 and 2015, Promise Arizona joined arms with Raza Development Fund and Arizona State University, and we walked between the sevens from the river bottom to the mountain. And out of 1,149 respondents, the majority of those were long-term residents of South Phoenix. In fact, most of them lived there 16 to 50 years, and some of them over 50 years. And the majority of them are also homeowners. And the reason, and 81% of those respondents also said the reason they were there is because they had good neighbors, it was a peaceful, comfortable setting, but 18% unfortunately said that public safety was a big concern and public services was also of concern. And what we've done with that information is now using that as feedback to go back in there and do some other work. We're now partnering with South Mountain Community College to do an English technology-based English class. We've been working with St. Catherine's on bringing DACA and citizenship services to the community. But more importantly, my time is up. I think we've taken a lot of ownership in what the community wants, because one of the questions was, what is it that you want short-term and long-term? And one of the other things that we did in the summer of 2015, we walked the streets during the summer, knocking door to door and getting the vote out for Prop 104. We didn't get any resources. We used the Promise Arizona time, talent, and treasure to do that. So very, very proud today that we will want to say yes to move forward on the light rail and bus services for South Phoenix.
Great to see you. Thanks for your testimony. How about Patrick Brennan? Great to see you, friend.
Great. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to speak in favor of this. I'm pretty well on the record as being in favor of this, as I've jumped at just about every opportunity to participate, and have been overall very impressed with a lot of the outreach, and even in approaching this topic with a very critical eye. I think the best example from my experience was about a year, maybe a little over a year ago. There was a planners professional association that held their conference here in Phoenix, and during that conference, they held a charrette at the South Mountain Environmental Education Center. I took the opportunity to toss the bike in the back of my truck, drop it off to be serviced at a shop on South Central, and then ride uphill the entire way, which I didn't really count for, so I showed up a little bit more worn out looking than I wish. But in any case, then that gave me the opportunity on the way back down the hill to accidentally demonstrate to the participants how challenging it is to ride a bike on Central. And this is something that is not just from my experience, but it's pretty well documented. In the subcommittee meeting last week for transportation and infrastructure, this topic was item number 8, and then I just happened to notice that item number 9 was another item from Streets and Transportation that included a series of heat maps. One of them was bike boardings, and it showed some hot spots along Central. You also had some areas of poverty that showed some hot spots along Central. Particularly, my focus kept being driven toward intersections like Central and Rozier, where I think this is providing just a tremendously invaluable amenity to the community to accommodate how people are already using our transportation infrastructure and greatly enhance it. And I think it's going to improve my quality of life. I recognize that that I'm out of time here, but I want to make sure that I don't accidentally omit my son Ty having some comments about this. Did you want to say anything? Okay. Do you mind?
We don't mind. In fact, we look forward to it.
So I have camps that I'm glad about this, because my dad, we can ride our bikes two there because we have, I have zoo camp and science center camp, and they're far away. And it takes us a little while to drive there, so this really helps.
Good job, Ty. That was great.
High-speed light rail, preferably. Go ahead. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. I have no other cards, but others in favor: Dorina Bustamante, Samuel Gomez, and P. Pobad. We have a motion in favor. We have a second. Vice Mayor, any additional comments?
I do. In the subcommittee meeting, I had added language in my motion. Can you show me where? And I believe the language was to.
Mayor,
that there
Vice
was,
Mayor,
uh-huh.
on item 94, we did include that language that was part of the motion under the concurrence / previous council action section in their report, which in my packet is page 193.
Oh, I missed this. Okay, that's why I couldn't find it.
So we included that the Transportation and Infrastructure Subcommittee recommended moving forward with this with direction that the design work include a fully comprehensive traffic analysis that assesses the potential business impacts, and that should be conducted early in the process with a report back to the subcommittee as soon as it's completed.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was in
Thank you
there.
very much.
Thank you.
I should mention our Valley Metro CEO is here, Scott Smith, who has been waiting patiently for 3 hours or so for the opportunity to speak. I just want to make it noted for the record that I resisted the temptation to ask you to speak about the Mesa Police Operations Order, what it was referenced earlier. So I
Believe it or not, I was listening and I said, I hope nobody asked me about that operation, although I could have spoken to it, but good call, Mayor. Thank you.
I don't know if you want to add.
No, thank you
the
very
motions in
much.
favor.
Nothing to add, unless there are specific questions, other than I think there was a lot of discussion during the TOD RFP. Boy, that's a bunch of acronyms right there. On the planning process that will go forward. I just want to, I know there might be a question here. Part of this, one of the first items, in addition to the traffic study, and I guess in addition to, but part of, is really a detailed review as to the impact that this design will have on businesses, have on access. And we have committed, as Valley Metro and the City of Phoenix, to meet with every business individually, if they so desire, to both ask for their specific concerns, analyze the impact, and then design around it. This design effort is really the beginning of the rolling up our sleeves and doing the big work. Right now, we are at what's called a 30% design, which means we've gone through conceptual. This council has approved conceptual designs and has chosen a preferred alternative as far as the basic layout. But we haven't narrowed that down to the square inch, let's say, or to the foot. And this is what this process that we're starting right now. As part of that, obviously, we'll look at how wide a driveway is, sight lines to make sure that businesses are not inadvertently cut off, either physically through through vehicular, bike, or pedestrian access, and also how it lays out as far as whether they can be seen. We will work with the property owners, with business owners, and they will be able to meet with our design group and the outside consultants from AECON, who are the engineering firm that's doing this, one-on-one to be able to address those issues. So I want to assure you that this is just not lip service. It's actually part of the process going forward. The important thing to understand is that while we have a conceptual design, if we gather facts as part of this more detailed process, we can and will adjust. And I can give you an example. Just recently, we brought up Mesa and some of the construction there. As you may know, we are currently under construction on a 2-mile extension beyond Mesa Drive in Mesa. One of the main issues was it was a roundabout that was designed into that as part of conceptual. As we went through and met with property owners and determined how that would impact them, we actually found that it created certain obstacles and certain obstructions that were not anticipated in the preliminary design, and therefore that was eliminated. So those are the kinds of things that will happen as we gather facts. We will adjust. We will both tweak and make bigger adjustments as required based on the information we get. So I just wanted to, I know that was an issue that was on everyone's mind, and I wanted to make sure that you had a briefing as far as what our efforts will be.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, any questions? Okay, motion in favor, a second. Roll call.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, so I believe that passes 7-0 before the city council. We have only 2 more items to go. 98, is there a motion on item number 98?
Move 98.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, city clerk needs to read the title very quickly.
Oh, come on.
Item 98, ordinance number G6308, an ordinance amending Chapter 31, Article 3, Section 31-38 of the Phoenix City Code to delete Section 31-38D and amending Chapter 31, Article 3, Section 31-49.1 of the Phoenix City Code to establish repair requirements for street pavement cuts and establishing an effective date.
That was our motion.
Motion to approve item 98.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call.
Gallego. Nowakowski.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams. Pastor. Mayor Stanton.
Yes, item passed unanimously. Item number 116, expansion of grid bikes. Is there a motion on 116?
Motion to approve item 116.
The motion and a second. Should we wait for Councilman Waring to get on the phone so we can vote no? All right, motion is second. Roll call.
Gallego. Nowakowski.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Williams. Pastor. Mayor Stanton.
Yes, so grid bike expansion passes unanimously. There being no further items before the city council, today's meeting is adjourned.